Oh my god. Ugh. Somebody. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? I turned the music off and then never mind. I turned the music back on thinking that was my mind. Never mind. Anyway, good morning. Oh my God. What I was saying was, and it wasn't that important, but what I was saying was, good morning. I'm Lolo. This is Wake and Bake with Lolo. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's one thing after another. It's just one thing after another. I'm pushing buttons as fast as I can. Badger's like, you're muted. You're muted. Oh, Badger, I'm sorry. Badger, thank you for helping me so much. Hello, easily distracted. How are you, darling? How are you, darling? Pushing buttons as fast as I can. Oh, well. You know, I just like to make people feel more confident in themselves. That's what I'm doing. That's all. It's a big trick. You all think that I'm fucking up. Well, think again. Well, think again. No. Anyway, good morning. It's Thursday, I think. Yeah. I love you. I love you, Badge. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. That's one more day till Friday. That's right. Jesus Christ. Hey, you know what I'm thinking of doing? I feel like I just cram a bunch of stuff into the universe and then some of it happens and some of it doesn't. But I really want to do Lolo Cella. Remember that idea we had, Badger? I think you were definitely here for it. But remember when I talked about doing like a DJ session where I'm like spinning tunes? Spinning some tunes. Like a DJ style for like a little, Discord concert. I was thinking of doing that. I think we need to do that soon because everyone's been putting a lot of song requests too, and I think that's a great. I feel like we have the makings of a nice little evening of music, and you can just throw it on in the background, or you can chat or whatever you want. Yeah, remember that Lolo Cella? That's what I wanted to call it. Well, maybe someday it'll come back. I don't know. I'm thinking of doing that one of these nights where we don't have anything happening. I'm here. Happy Thursday, gal. Good morning. Bob Swagger. The Dow is falling. Oil's rising. Trump's economy sucks. Yeah. Yeah, Bob Swagger. It sure does suck. And actually, I have a few stories this morning. It's funny you should say that, Bob. Good morning, darling. It's funny you should say that because I have a few stories about this economy. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've been looking at quite a bit about this economy and it's quite disturbing, I should tell you. It's quite disturbing. I'm quite disturbed. But this morning we also have a cabinet meeting and I am going to make you watch it. So, boo boo on you, but I'm going to make you watch it. And then we also have we have a couple of interesting hearings. I'm gonna say it again because I'm complaining. So the Congress is cramming as many hearings into this week as they possibly can, which makes it virtually impossible, first of all, for Congress people to attend the hearings in any meaningful way, right? Um, Yeah, exactly. We figured it all out. Exactly. Last night, the gal squad got together on video chat and we talked it all out. We figured it out. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Or maybe we didn't, but we probably did. We certainly had some good moments of like, oh yeah, oh my god, oh my god. So it was great. Oh, guy, I love talking to Gal Squad. Gal Squad is so smart, and just the when we are all like firing on pistons and like this and that and this and that. Usually it's them, it's not me. Yeah, we made a Venn diagram. we, we made we made a Venn diagram which had like 7 circles in it. I didn't really. I can't wait to show people that Venn diagram we made of what does all this mean? Good morning, J Rand. Speaking of Gal Squad, yeah, charts and shit. That's right. We got charts and shit. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, but it definitely the topic was not fun. And so yeah, I did Lolo Cella. That's right, Tom. We got to do Lolo Cella because we're ready. We've got a music set, and I just have to do the setup, and then we're ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll. All right, let's see here. So because things are starting soon, I wanted to come alive a little early and maybe read something to you. I'm trying to think. I have so many wonderful things. I want to just like, what's first? What's first? I don't know. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Griffey. Griffey. Yeah, Gal, at this point, it's basically blank Venn diagram with a bunch of words and names randomly not in the circles yet. Okay, it's taken a minute. He's already doing a cabinet meeting. I know. Is he already there? I don't even think he's not already there, is he? Let me see. I was trying to avoid RSBN. If oil keeps going, $200 barrel employment will skyrocket. Well, so interestingly enough, there's a really weird Treasury report. The GAO had a report last week, which I did not pay attention to. I'm going to be honest. But the GAO report about the state of the country financially was not a great, good morning, was not an absolutely great report, right? They basically said that, okay, so this is what the headline is going around. I really would like to look more into the headline than just this. The U.S. is insolvent. Well, I think there's a lot loaded into that word, insolvent. Yeah, they go live for 3 hours before he actually says anything. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, the GAO was, that report was kind of crazy. So I did actually pull up that report. In fact, I'll go ahead and just share with you a couple of things that, this is stupid Microsoft stuff, but at least it kind of gives it the point. The Gal Squad, I feel sorry for anyone on the Gal Squad. I'm going to tell you right now, that Venn diagram is going to be an absolute mess by the time we're done with it. It is going to have so many. It's very interesting. It's kind of interesting. I won't give it justice, but do it justice. But it really was a conversation about who is falling into what camp, right? Because there's a lot of struggle within kind of middle MAGA right now, right? What I call middle MAGA, which is like the Flynn, the Loomer, the operatives, kind of like the operative level of MAGA or right-wing extremism, I guess, is a way to put it, because they're not all MAGA. They're not all MAGA, but they are extremist. So we started to think about, okay, so where is everybody falling out? Like, where are they kind of like falling in their camps? And it's a very interesting exercise because a lot is changing and some is staying the same in terms of like Steve Bannon hates Roger Stone. Roger Stone hates Steve Bannon. So those two people are hardly going to work together, right? Like they're going to have very different. Yeah, it's like an Olympic logo of fuckery. Speaking of which, fuck the Olympics. I'm going to boycott the Olympics because they have just said that there will be no transgender athletes, and I can't stand those fucking little snivelly Olympic Committee men who are just so hell-bent on sucking dick for despots that they will suck the dick of our despot all day long and ruin the dreams of athletes all over the world. So fuck the Olympics. Fuck the idiot, snivelly men that are in charge of the Olympics. And fuck our country for ruining everything that had a chance to be nice. That's it. That's how I feel about the Olympics. But that just made me think about the Olympic story that just came out. That the Olympic Committee is, well, yeah, we shouldn't have the Olympics, frankly. If all this nonsense is going on, I'm so sorry to say. It's just one of those years where we need to deal with the fucking problems that we have and stop acting like life is normal and the Bachelorette is going to be on, on Tuesday, right? Like, we need to stop acting like that. If things need to stop, they need to stop. Anyway, hold on. Let me pull this up. How did Hitler and Trump both get Olympics? I don't know. Maybe there's a pattern there. Do you think maybe the universe is trying to tell us something? Or is it just men ruin everything? That actually could also be the case. That's pretty much the mode that I'm in these days. Yeah, exactly. So that's a great observation, Meowing. I totally forgot about that. But it's true. It's true. Very strange. Very strange. All right. Let me read to you a little bit and then we'll get you primed. We're going to get your brain in gear here. Well, okay, by your brain, I mean my brain. I'm going to get my brain in here. It's an infiltrator haven, too. Yes, the Olympics. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. All right, I'm sorry. This is MSN Copilot. I don't know. When I searched for this topic, this came up, and it was an interesting little encapsulation. So we're starting here, and I apologize because I'm sure it's AI or some stupid-ass stuff like that. Okay, Treasury declares U.S. insolvent in bombshell report. Okay, the word insolvent is really weird, and I don't really know what it means because I'm not an expert on financial statements. I can kind of navigate them, but I'm not very good. I'm not an accountant, even though I play one on TV. Part of me thinks losing 2020 was the actual conspiracy so he could be the 47th for all those weird number ties. Yes. But also provide over the 250th anniversary and get the Olympics. Meowing, that's not, nothing is crazy now. And that doesn't seem too far off the mark. That does not seem too far off the mark. I don't know. Hotels for World Cup are getting huge cancellations. Excellent. You know what? There's usually a lot of human trafficking that happens around those events too. So I don't know. I might be okay with that. Okay, so this is from MSN. It's just kind of encapsulating what the headlines have said. It's very hard to find a good source right now on this, except for the GAO report. And I'm going to be honest with you. I looked at the GAO report. It's very hard to read. I'm sure there's really smart people that can read it, but it's not me. All right, the U.S. Treasury's latest financial statements show the federal government is insolvent with liabilities nearly 8 times its assets and a widening fiscal gap. The report reveals $47.78 trillion in official liabilities, excluding $88.4 trillion in unfunded Social Security and Medicare obligations. Lawmakers are pushing for constitutional fiscal limits as foreign investors pull back and geopolitical threats target U.S. financial assets. Let's see. Okay. The Treasury's consolidated financial statements for FY25. We're in FY26 right now, just so you know, because it ends in October, or September 30th is the end of the United States fiscal year. So everything is October 1 to September 30th. Okay. And so for 2025 reveals $6 trillion in assets against 47, almost 48 trillion in liabilities. That's just about 8 times, excluding that unfunded Social Security and Medicare. The government's net position worsened by $2 trillion from FY 2024, which would have ended in October of 2024, right? So this is pretty much pure Trump, driven by a $2 trillion jump in federal debt and higher benefit obligations. Combined on and off balance sheet commitments now exceed $136 trillion, roughly 5 times the U.S. gross domestic product, prompting the GAO, the General Accounting Office, that's our accountant, to issue its 29th consecutive disclaimer of opinion due to persistent accounting weaknesses. And there were some real weaknesses in that report. And one of them in particular was the spending that was happening at the Department of Defense.
Testing down below.
Whoa. Okay. Where are you? Where are you? Hold on. I don't know where you are. Hold on. Where? Where's that screen? Sorry. Where's that screen? Is this it? Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, that's transportation and infrastructure. Yeah. Okay. We also have coming up on the hour is the transportation and infrastructure hearing, which I thought might be interesting because of all the shit that's been happening with the transportation world. Yes. Insolvent, Bing definition, unable to pay debts owed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have 8 times the amount of debt as we have assets, basically. The fact that we had them in Sochi, I know, right? What's down below? What does that mean? Down below in the bottom of the sea. But let me see where the where I'm at with. Where's my goddamn other screen? I'm so sorry. Okay, I need that to go away. I need that to go away. I need that to go away. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, fine. Where's the? Oh, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Nope. I just had this screen up. Okay, fine. All right, fine. Let me see if I can find what I had before. Oh, this. Oh my God. Okay, I want to tell you, I was listening to the Richard Kahn, who is the accountant for Jeffrey Epstein, who was the accountant for Jeffrey Epstein. Well, actually, technically still is the accountant for Jeffrey Epstein because he's executor of his estate. I'm happier now. My asset to debt ratio is better than the country. There you go, Tom. There you go. That's a way to look on the bright side. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely correct. So I was, what was I saying? Wait a minute. What was I talking about? Okay, the Treasury. I mean, let's just stick with that. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find. Where is my economy? Where's my economy? Where's my economy? Where is my economy? Ooh. Okay, I don't have the GAO report. That's fine. Fine. Whatever. Fine. Okay, well, this is really a story I wanted to read to you, so I'll try and do that before he starts. I should run for the presidency. Yeah, exactly, Tom. You should, because frankly, you'd be better at it. I'd rather have you as president. Okay, I want to read this to you. We've been trying to read this for a few days now. Well, by we, I mean me, but because I want to understand this private credit thing, because I think it's actually a big deal, and it's a bigger deal than we're thinking about. All right, so we're gonna hopefully learn something. If you don't know what private credit is, hopefully you're gonna know. All right, this is from NPR. All things considered, it's called private credit, and it could lead to big trouble on Wall Street and Main Street. Just saying. The risky lending business known as private credit is causing some very public problems for banks and investors, with implications that go far beyond Wall Street. Private credit refers to an opaque but fast-growing corner of the financial world when private equity firms and other companies that aren't banks lend money to businesses such as software companies and auto lenders. Banks are more reluctant to lend directly to these businesses, which they see as riskier bets, but they're still exposed to them because banks do lend to private credit firms. The private credit sector has been growing for years and is now estimated to be $3 trillion industry, according to Morgan Stanley. But its mounting problems are also becoming increasingly visible, especially after 2 companies backed by private credit companies declared bankruptcy in September. Those bankruptcies raised concerns about how carefully private credit firms were vetting the companies they lend to, and how they, the banks, and the investors that finance them in turn, would get their money back. When you see one cockroach, there's probably more. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, whose bank had also financed one of the failed companies, warned during an October conference call. Yes, Jamie, you are like he's like my little barometer as to how things are really going. Because if he's not upset, then they're going really badly for us, not for him. More cockroaches have been skittering out of the private credit woodwork in recent weeks. Blue Owl, one of the largest and most prominent private credit lenders, in February said it would sell off $1.4 billion in assets in order to give money back to some of its investors. The announcement was intended to reassure Blue Owl's investors, but instead, it sparked widespread panic about a collapse in private credit assets. A spokesman declined to comment. Now, more investors in several private credit firms are trying to pull their money out of the industry, and the panic is spilling over into the stock market. Blue Owl shares have fallen about 40% since the start of the year. The shares of other big private credit companies, including KKR, okay, these companies are important. KKR, Apollo, which is Leon Black, who is in the Epstein files in a big motherfucking way. Apollo really factors heavily into a lot of shit in this country, okay? Pay attention to Apollo. And Blackstone, another one, are also down by 20% or more. And Blackstone, I think, halted withdrawals from their equity fund, but hopefully we'll get more information on that. When everyone is rushing to the door at the same time, there's an inherent panic that occurs that also affects sentiment. I think we're seeing some of that here, said investor Lolo Aganga, head of portfolio construction for Citigroup's wealth management division. Whilst the growing panic comes at a time when U.S. investors have already spent months swinging between terror and delight, especially over tariffs, the runaway artificial intelligence boom, and most recently, the war in Iran and its shock to global oil prices. So as Wall Street swings from record high to sell-off and back again, private credit's one-time promise has turned into another source of market instability. It's only March, and we've had AI angst, private credit angst, and now we have a war. So there's a lot of angst, Aganga says. Some of the private credit angst is directly intertwined with AI. Big tech companies and their bets on artificial intelligence have powered the stock market for years, but investors are increasingly worried about whether how much those investments will pay off. At the same time, they're also worried that AI will soon render many software companies obsolete, and private credit companies are big lenders to those software companies. Everyone's terrified. They don't know who the winners are. They don't know who the losers are, said Jared Elias, a law professor at Harvard and co-author of an academic paper about private credit. The great fear is that private credit is going to turn out to have financed a lot of the losers, and then those private credit funds are going to be left with huge losses, he says. In the short term, Wall Street's private credit sell-off is cutting into the retirement accounts of some individual investors, including those who have bought into private credit companies through mutual funds or their 401ks. So let me tell you, part of where the money comes from for private equity is that some pension funds put part of their money in private equity. That is literally happening, okay? You don't know that you've bought into a private equity company, but either your mutual fund manager or your whatever, your financial person, usually it goes through mutual funds and other things that are, kind of like large institutional investing. So yeah, it's the retirees. They'll get some of the brunt. The even bigger picture worry for ordinary consumers is that the problems with private credit will ripple through the mainstream financial system, sparking some sort of larger meltdown. Think 2008. Just think 2008. Investors and financial regulatory experts point to the sector's lack of transparency as one cause of this concern. Private credit firms are not regulated like banks. There's a problem right there. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, Tom Barrack rings a bell. Investors and financial regulatory experts point to the sector's lack of transparency. Private credit firms are not regulated like banks and do not face the same level of scrutiny or government-mandated disclosures over who or what they lend to. And guess what? The SEC chair quit last week because she wasn't allowed to investigate the Trump family. We simply don't know where that money is going and who it is being lent to and the full extent of the risks being taken, said Brad Lipton, a former senior advisor at Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and now the director of corporate power and financial regulation at Roosevelt Institute, a progressive think tank. Excuse me. If investors get spooked about risk and start to pull their money out, we could see a run on the companies doing the lending and a crisis, he adds in an email to NPR. And given the current economic conditions with rising prices, etc., what are the chances of people starting to try and liquidate some of their assets, even if they don't see an issue with private credit failures? I don't know. Lipton and investors also worry about how much the problems with private credit lenders can infect the mainstream banking system. U.S. banks have lent about $300 billion to private credit companies, according to Moody's. As more problems with private credit companies have surfaced in recent weeks, bank stocks have sold off. The KBW Nasdaq Bank Index is down more than 11% since the start of the year, while the benchmark S&P 500 is only down about 3%. Still, Harvard's Elias says he's not currently worried about private credit companies sparking a 2008-style conflagration. This isn't AIG, this isn't Lehman Brothers, this is a bunch of investors who may turn out to have made a bad bet. Apollo? KKR? What? Girl? Okay. He's more worried that a prolonged downturn in private credit will hurt the companies that borrow from them and that can't get funding as easily or quickly from banks. If small or medium-sized businesses can't get funding to help grow, the overall economy could slow down. Yeah, and those businesses are going to fail. I'm not sure, Mr. Elias, if you have the right. I think you might be in an ivory tower at the moment. I think you might need to step out of Harvard Yard, and get your head out of your ass, as they would say in Boston. But he acknowledges that at a certain point, bad bets can snowball into a bigger problem for Wall Street and the larger economy. Financial stability is always about confidence, Elias says. If private credit turns out to be the place that we lose confidence in, and then we lose confidence in everything else by association, that could be a way that there's contagion out of this. I don't know about, I'm not sure about his assessment, but that's fine. Bye, Lovey. I love you. Be safe, please. Oh, wait, did I? Wait, what did I do? Oh, yeah, I read that. Okay. So yeah, that's the one thing that keeps me awake at night, and it's just something I'm trying to learn more about. Basically, the AI bubble. Well, let's talk about AI too, because I think there's what was it? Where's that article? I don't know if this was the one. Wait. Okay, I guess it isn't. I wanted to talk about AI. Hold on, let me see if I have another. Bear with me just a moment. Because I thought I had something else about this. Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, yeah, no. Wait, what's that? No, that's the Save Act. That's that. That's that. Nope. Nope. Wait, what's that? Is this it? Oh, yeah. This might be what I wanted to read. Okay. Let's talk about it. All right. Okay, from the radical leftists at Stanford University. Believe me, as someone who actually attended Stanford classes, I can tell you there's not as many radical leftists at Stanford as you think there might be. Trust and believe. There's far more Republicans at Stanford than there is anything else. Anyway, this is, you can't see it, but this is the Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research, and they put up a piece. A lot of people made a lot of money in the AI bubble, never made financial sense. Well, I think it's that AI cannot deliver. So let's talk about what the AI bubble. Hold on, let me just. Oops. Oh, damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn. Oh, I hate this thing so much. I have too many windows. Too many dicks on the dance floor. Okay. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. That's fine. All right. Let me see if I can find my. I think think I can read this, right? I think this is going to cut me out. Ah, God. All the pop-ups. Okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Do 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 do. Here we go. Let's talk about the AI bubble. This is from a couple days ago from Slate. The tech bubble might finally be popping. I don't love that headline, but I don't like headlines like that because you don't know. Let's just talk about what's happening and what it could mean. That's what I want to know. Okay? I want to know what's happening and what it could be. He's partnered up with people I don't trust recently, but that may be avoidable. Wait, who is it? Who are we talking about? Oh, no, a different Elias. Different Elias. I'm so sorry. Different Elias. It has you head scratching. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Mark Elias. I know I was involved in some kind of altercation with some kind of simp that was saying that Elias, he was so bothered by Elias working on the Steele dossier. And I'm like, oh my God, is that what we're worried about still? But if there is something, let me know. Okay, this is from Slate. The tech bubble might finally be popping on your head. OpenAI's abrupt shutdown of Sora reveals the AI boom might be a lot more fragile than it looks. And there's poor old Sam Altman. The AI bubble. God, I hate this kind of language. Oh my God, I hate journalists like this. I'm so sorry. Wait, what about Kent State? Wait, we'll leave behind a trail of deserted mega centers and environmental and community ruin. Yep. That's Devo. Doc left quite the impression. Yes. Is Stanford where Devo went? I don't remember that. Did they? I don't know. I was worried he's one of our weapons. Yeah. Oh my God, I want to find out. Well, Jen knows the tea. All right. On Tuesday, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman informed his staff that the company would be shutting down its video generation model, Sora, just 6 months after launching a dedicated mobile app and just 3 months after inking a deal with Disney to license hundreds of its name brand characters for virtual avatars. OpenAI also appears to be winding down ChatGPT's video functionality and taking all its animation APIs offline. In their place arrives Spud, an upcoming model about which Altman has provided no real details, but has promised will really accelerate the economy. And this is interesting because Disney pulled out of that deal, by the way, so there's another article I have to read about that. And then also, I think there's a couple of interesting things on AI. The recent situation with Anthropic refusing to work on contracts or refusing to have their product used within the military to do autonomous drone activity and to do surveillance on Americans. And the CEO of Anthropic, who is very much pro-AI, basically said, you're asking my AI to do something it's not yet capable of doing. It can't discern. It will hallucinate. It will make up, it will not be correct, right? And so I think what's happening is that the people who are in the AI industry, certainly Anthropic CEO, is admitting what the limitations of that software are. And that, because so much money has been put into building infrastructure of AI, right? That is where the bubble comes, because AI can't deliver on a lot of the promises that are it's dependent on to make those data centers and other things worth the money, right? So it took more time and money to fix Sora's mistakes and inconsistencies than it ever helped. Well, that probably is very, that would make sense. AI is tough for people in Hollywood, okay? Because I mean, my kid deals with it a lot because she works in visual effects and things like that. So there is a very tense balance relationship with AI within that industry, because visual effects also employs a lot of artists, right? Visual effects actually has a lot of artists within it. It's not just all computer generated or whatever, right? So, well, or maybe people don't know that, but it's actually quite an intense part of the filmmaking process and is used for more than just, grand explosions and other things. Visual effects are used throughout a production to enhance it and things like that. And it's fantastic. I've seen it. I've seen it in action. I've seen my kid work on things, and it's amazing what visual effects can do and where visual effects appear. You don't always know. But anyway, so that's just it. Good morning, Teresa. How are you? Kim Thompson. How you doing? How you doing? Honey's here too. Hi, honey. Hi, Maxie, honey. Okay, here we go. We're saying goodbye to Sora app. To everyone who created with Sora, shared it, and built community. Thank you. All right. Spud will be of no reassurance. Let me make sure we're live here. Okay. Spud will be of no reassurance to Disney, which inked a $1 billion deal with OpenAI in December to allow Sora users to generate likenesses of many characters. By all accounts, that was meant to be a friendship for the long haul, with a 3-year contract and planned Disney Plus feature where subscribers could upload their Sora Disney outputs. At the time, an OpenAI executive heralded this as a cinematic sea change on par with the end of the silent film era. Oh boy, see, when you say things like that, you fuck yourself over, okay? Just saying. The termination seemed to surprise many at Disney, whose tech team apparently just learned of the strategy pivot on Monday night. In a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, Disney said that it respects OpenAI's decision and will continue to engage with AI platforms. Let's be blunt. A highly capitalized AI startup that bails on one of its most prominent creations and largest corporate deals so soon after hyping them up for months on end is not in a good position as a business, especially at a moment when it plans to pursue an initial public offering, and thus expose itself to more financial scrutiny. Never mind, the SEC isn't really functioning, so don't worry about it. And yet, it's only one of OpenAI's many recent troubles, and a sign that the AI bubble, while far from bursting outright, is wobbling and weakening as we speak. It kind of got ahead of its skis. That's really, I think it'll, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. In other words, the one industry that's keeping up the country's growth on paper is closer to giving way and bringing about an all-around slowdown in economic activity. Happy Thursday. Good AI versus bad AI reminds me of that Seinfeld. Good naked, bad naked. Bad naked opening a pickle jar. What? In other words, okay, wait. When they'll make the current moment feel like a cakewalk by comparison. Disney isn't the only partner OpenAI is now holding at a robotics arm's length. Throughout the year, several high-profile OpenAI commitments have sputtered thanks to the company's newfound frugality, as well as an increasing sense of dissatisfaction from its business pals. In September, OpenAI announced a massive Texas data center build-out in partnership with Oracle and SoftBank, only to declare it was pulling back on those expansion plans earlier this month. NVIDIA, which agreed in September to provide OpenAI with a blitz of its all-powerful computing computing chips, stated this month that it would likely not go forward with those plans. In October, Walmart agreed to integrate ChatGPT into its chatbot-powered online shopping pilot, but it ditched that experiment last week when the model consistently failed to improve store sales. Figure AI, which sent one of its humanoid bots to walk alongside First Lady Melania Trump at the White House on Wednesday, cut off its collaborative efforts with OpenAI last month as it preferred to utilize its self-developed models instead. Today, I made a decision to leave our collaboration with OpenAI. I want to sing. Wait, we got to do a song for Jen Griffey. Jen Griffey. Spocko's Brain got one. Oh my God, we know Spocko's Brain. TJ is here, got one. Woo, woo, woo. That's a friend of ours. Streamer Warzone 6. Oh, that's one of the DOA simps, I think. I would imagine that's usually what that name's. Chrissy. I don't know which Chrissy that is, but there's a lot of Chrissys. They're usually Canadian. Human Being got one. That's a friend of ours from TV2 Live, which, by the way, make sure you're. Thank you. Let's do a song. Hold on. Let's do a song. Should we do should we do the sad song or should we do another song? Wait, hold on. I think we should do, I'm not sure. Wait, I gotta figure this out. Hold on. Don't get to me. Wait. Oh, this one's good. No, I don't like that. No, I don't like that either. I don't like that. Hold on. I need more songs. I need more songs on here. I do kind of like this one. Oh, no, not that one. Jen Griffey gave us 10 memberships yesterday. She brought 10 more people into the family. It is the only way. We must survive. We must grow the lounge. And Jen is helping us do that. Thank you, Jen. I suggest Scorpio by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I love that idea. Wait, we could do this. That's it. That's the one. Thank you, Jen. You're such a doll. I love you. I love you. Carrie. Hi, Carrie. How you doing? Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. Griffey, I love you. Oh, my God. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. I love this group. God, you guys have made my life so much better. Do you know that? I hope you know that. Not because of the memberships, just because of who you are. You make my life a lot better. Some may perceive this as mere growing pains for a now decade-old Silicon Valley giant that experienced a massive growth spurt after ChatGPT's takeoff, but the alarm bells are ringing within OpenAI's offices, too, which have been locked in code red mode since December. Vijay Simo, the company's CEO of applications, hosted an all-hands meeting this month to inform workers that they would be doing away with side quests, closing down all sorts of frivolous projects in order to optimize OpenAI products for productivity on the business front. Video generation was clearly viewed as one such distracting side quest, and it's not hard to understand why. Not long after Sora 2 launched as a standalone limited access app in the fall, user growth went into total freefall, with downloads plunging by nearly 75%, holy shit, from their November peak. OpenAI employees reportedly realized they were deploying a lot of valuable computing power and torching a lot of cash to get very little in return. But the pivot away from Sora also represents a fundamental transformation for OpenAI as an enterprise. Ahead of the IPO, Simo wants her company to demonstrate that it's capable of meeting practical, concrete use cases and thus earn consistent revenue as a service. Rival firm Anthropic has outstripped OpenAI in this regard. While it doesn't offer as wide a range of products as OpenAI, the tools available through its Claude Assistant have earned the praise and appreciation of experienced coders, along with some valuable corporate contacts. Visual generations have been more of an invitation for lawsuits and regulations over existential matters like copyright protections, deepfake replications, and sexual abuse imagery. Coding and clerical tasks are far more straightforward and lucrative. And all of this also makes me wonder what the ruling on Meta and YouTube, including YouTube, was yesterday, which I should pull that up. Hold on. Let me make a note of that because I didn't pull a story on that. And I should. Meta ruling. The meta ruling. Yeah. So I'll pull that up. But that actually, I think, also has some interesting implications for these, the woe is me of the industry. Of course, he hasn't started his cabinet meeting. It's only a half an hour late. Okay, let's see. What that also means is pullback from OpenAI's nonstop hype era, where it rode its early innovations toward rapid development of a whole bunch of goodies. DALL-E, GPT Pro, that were fun, certainly, but not applicable to everyday tasks or widely accessible, and not welcome by the creative classes. Those in Hollywood who do use AI tend towards software they've built in-house. As a result, a leading driver of AI spending is halting a lot of the planned investments and infrastructure initiatives that it used to announce on a weekly basis. And that means an increasingly fragile tech bubble is getting ever so closer to breaking altogether. Which, I mean, things don't tend to totally break. This is Disney exits OpenAI deal. This was from, when was this? Oh, March 24th. This is also yesterday. The studio giant will no longer move forward with its OpenAI investment as the AI company exits the video generation business. So I'll include that Hollywood Reporter piece as well, but I don't think we need to really read it. Let's see. This is great because I'm getting through some of these articles that I've been dying to read to you. Dying to read to you. Let me see. What is this? Oh, you know what? This is interesting. What is this? Oh, hello. This is part of the Arctic. Hi. Hi. What's the matter? What's the matter? Oh, what's the matter, Sammy? What's the matter? Oh, I love you too. I love you too. I love you. I love you. I love you, Peanut. I love you, baby Peanut. Oh my God. What this loving cat. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. What do you love? I gave you breakfast already. Why do you love me? Why you love me? I love you. I love you. Oh, I love you. Oh my God. Are animals the most wonderful? Good morning, Sammy. Aren't the animals the most wonderful things ever? I love them. Hi. Oh, look at that furry tail. Look at that furry tail. Oh, hi. Oh. Oh. Little baby. Oh. I'll give you your morning pat. Yeah. What do you think? Sam, you're not in focus. You got to put your head more forward. I love this kitty. He's so sweet. Oh my God. He's the biggest love. Hi. Oh, the purring. I wish you could hear the purring. Has Zuck been added to the Nuremberg thumbnail? Not yet, but he's coming. Yeah, I've got to like almost create a new gallery. We're gonna have to have overflow. That's why they exist. Yeah, exactly. But actually, let me. Oh wait, I had the meta thing pulled up. Hold on. What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, Meta and YouTube found negligent in landmark social media addiction case. A jury found the companies harmed a young user with design features that were addictive and led to her mental health distress. There he is. I'm an idiot. Hi. Oh. The social media company Meta and the video streaming service YouTube harmed a young user with design features that were addictive and led to her mental health distress, a jury found on Wednesday, a landmark decision that could open social media companies to more lawsuits over users' well-being. Meta must pay $4.2 million in combined compensatory and punitive damages, and YouTube must pay $1.8 million. The bellwether case, which was brought by a now 20-year-old woman identified as KGM, had accused social media companies of creating products as addictive as cigarettes or digital casinos. Citing features like infinite scroll and algorithmic recommendations, KGM sued Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, and Google's YouTube, claiming they led to anxiety and depression. This is kind of big. The verdict in KGM's case, one of thousands of lawsuits filed by teenagers, school districts, and state attorneys general against Meta, YouTube, TikTok, and Snap, which owns Snapchat, was a major win for the plaintiffs. The finding validates a novel legal theory that social media sites or apps can cause personal injury. It is likely to factor into similar cases expected to go to trial this year, which could expose the internet giants to further financial damages and force changes to their products. The personal liability argument draws inspiration from a legal playbook used against big tobacco last century, in which lawyers argued that companies created addictive products that harmed users. The companies have largely dodged legal threats by citing a federal shield called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, which protects them from liability for what their users post. TikTok and Snap both settled with the plaintiff for undisclosed terms before the trial started. Wednesday's verdict follows a ruling this week by a New Mexico jury in another case brought by the state attorney general there, which found Meta liable for violating state law by failing to safeguard users of its apps from child predators. That jury decided on Tuesday that Meta should pay $375 million in that case. And that's the Raul Torres, the New Mexico attorney general. The trial in California Superior Court in Los Angeles County began last month with a jury of 7 women and 5 men taking more than a week of deliberation to reach its verdict. The $6 million in financial damages are a drop in the bucket for Meta and YouTube's parent company, Google, which bring in billions in revenue every quarter. But the lawyers, parents, and consumer interest groups supporting plaintiffs in other suits hailed the jury's decision as a major step to rein in social media giants. This is the first time in history a jury has heard testimony by executives and seen internal documents that we believe prove these companies chose profits over children, said Joseph Van Zandt, one of KGM's lawyers. We respectfully disagree with the verdict and are evaluating our legal options, a Meta spokeswoman said. Google also said it disagreed with the verdict and plans to appeal. This case misunderstands YouTube, which is a responsibly built streaming platform. Oh, yeah, it's a floor wax. No, it's a dessert topping, which is responsibly, okay, not, said Jose Castaneda, a Google spokesman. The cases have been compared to those against Big Tobacco last century when Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds were accused of hiding information about the harms of cigarettes. The companies reached a $206 billion master settlement with more than 40 states in 1998 that led to an agreement to stop marketing to minors. Strict tobacco regulations and a decline in smoking followed. Does that mean we can sue the oil and gas industry for hiding climate change research? Does that mean we can sue them for that? That's very interesting. I really think it's interesting. I wonder if that's going to be, this is going to be big, I think. This is going to be big. Though the California Superior, I think what's coming is a comeuppance for the billionaire class. I really do. I think they're about to get their comeuppance. I really do. I think this is a part of those early stages of that. I could be wrong, which is entirely possible, but I don't think I am. Though the California Superior Court is an initial victory against tech giants, legal experts said it was unclear if the decision would represent a similar turning point. 8 other cases brought by individual plaintiffs are slated to go to trial there. A set of federal cases brought by states and school districts in Oakland, California, at the U.S. District Court of Northern California are scheduled for jury trials this summer. There's a long road ahead, but this decision is quite significant, said Clay Calvert, a non-resident senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, a center-right think tank and expert on media law. If there are a series of verdicts for plaintiffs, it will force the defendants to reconsider how they design social media platforms and how they deliver content to minors. Concern about social media use has mounted globally. In 2024, the U.S. Surgeon General called for adding warning labels to social media explaining that the platforms were associated with mental health harms for adolescents. In December, Australia barred children under 16 from using social media. Malaysia, Spain, and Denmark are considering similar rules. But most efforts to regulate social media in the United States have failed. KGM, whose first name is Kaylee, filed her lawsuit in 2023 against Meta, Snap, YouTube, and TikTok. Kaylee, who lives in Chico, California, said she had begun using social media at age 6 and claimed the sites caused personal injury, including body dysmorphia and thoughts of self-harm. Her case, which was presided by Judge Carolyn B. Kuhl, represented one of the strongest personal injury cases among the thousands of suits filed. Ahead of the trial, the lawyers for the companies argued to the judge that the cases should be dropped, invoking speech protections. Lawyers for the plaintiff countered that the case was about product design, not speech. This is good. This is very good. This is absolutely very good. While Snap and TikTok settled, lawyers for Meta and YouTube proceeded, saying they had strong legal defense. It was too hard to prove social media was addictive and caused personal harms, the company said. During opening arguments, one of KGM's lawyers, Mark Lanier, presented the jury internal company documents from Meta and YouTube that showed tech executives knew of and discussed the negative effects of their products on children. Mr. Lanier argued that features like infinite scroll, algorithmic recommendations, and autoplay videos were designed to entice and hook young users to compulsively engage with the platforms. That's fucking smart, Mark. You're smart. You're a smart guy. Meta countered that KGM's mental health issues were caused by familial abuse and turmoil. YouTube argued that it was not a social media company and that its features were not designed to be addictive. Okay, good one. Great defense there, YouTube. During the 5-week trial, KGM's lawyers grilled Meta's chief executive, Zuckerberg, and the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri. The executives rejected claims that Instagram, which KGM began to use at age 9, could be described as clinically addictive. KGM testified about her childhood and using social media as both a creative outlet and an escape from bullying at school. She spent hours a day on Instagram and posted hundreds of photos.
And we all know.
Yeah, okay. We gotta go.
Very well, and he was a very popular senator, very effective senator. Effective probably being the more important word, JD, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
And we wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
I think you do fantastically well. Congratulations to you. You have an amazing family that were here yesterday in the Oval, sworn in. His family's amazing, so thank you very much. We're now on day 41 of the disgraceful Democrat shutdown of Mark Wayne's department. Congratulations. We came into a department that's shut down by the radical Democrats. Right? But Democrats are really punishing the American people. I saw it today on one of the shows where they were interviewing people at the airport, and they're all angry at the Democrats. They're saying they're actually angry at Schumer. I didn't think anyone knew his name. One woman said, that Schumer is disgraceful. He's a disgrace to our country. But they're angry at the Democrats. They know what's happening. But they're punishing the American people, including travelers at airports, all in the quest to return to open borders and give amnesty to illegal alien criminals. They want to give amnesty to some of the criminals that came into our country, just about all of them, actually, if you look at it. They love sanctuary cities, which is a sanctuary for criminals. They want to make sure they're taken care of. That's what we're fighting about. That's really what they're fighting. They don't talk about that, but that's what they're fighting about. They want to protect criminals. In many cases, 11,888 murders. Many of them, I will say, are gone now because of us. We got them out. But still have some left. Should have never happened. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. But we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let the Democrats get away with this stuff. And people are wise to them. So they need to end the shutdown immediately, or we'll have to take some very drastic measures. This morning, I want to give an update on the Operation Epic Fury.
What drastic measures? What? What drastic measures is he going to take? Did he say 11,888? Oh, boy.
Which is an appropriate name because we are absolutely
Epic Furry. I'm sorry. That's every time I hear someone say Epic Fury, I say Epic Furry.
obliterating them.
He has a dog whistle.
Over the past 3 weeks, we've been hitting Iran's military capabilities at a level that few people have ever seen before. People never knew there was such a capability. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. I built it during my first administration, and I used it during my second administration. Unfortunately, because I'd rather not have to use it. But it's a display of force and precision and skill like nothing the world has really witnessed, although you get a pretty good witnessing of it in Venezuela also. And that was a smaller version of what we're doing now. We're crushing their missiles and drone stockpiles, destroying their defense industrial base. We've wiped out their Navy completely, their Air Force completely. We've wiped out a large percentage of their missiles. And the missile launchers, without the launchers, the missiles don't do any good. And we've knocked out probably close to 90% of the launchers, probably more than 90% of the missiles themselves. Between some they fired and more than they fired, we knocked out.
Sock piles. Josh, I love sock piles.
We've also destroyed a lot of the factories. We're continuing to do that, but a lot of the factories where they manufacture the drones and the missiles. The drones, too, are way down, but the reason they're down is they go one way and they don't come back, because for the most part, we're shooting them down. But we also are able to, we've really done tremendous damage to the places where they make them. And just so we set the record straight, because I've been watching the Wall Street Journal's fake news and all these stories that get printed like, oh, I want to make a deal. They are begging to make a deal, not me. They're begging to make a deal. And anybody that saw what was happening over there would understand why they want to make a deal. But they say, oh, we're not talking to them. Anybody would know that. And only a total fool. And they're not fools. They're very smart, actually, in a certain way. And they're great negotiators. I say they're lousy fighters, but they're great negotiators. And they are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have done it 2 years ago. Or they should have done it when we first came into office, because 2 years ago they had free reign under Biden. Sleepy Joe, worst president in the history of our country. What he allowed to happen to our country at the borders, and even with a thing like this. But not just him. Every president for 47 years, every president should have done this. They should have done it a long time ago, because you cannot give lunatics a nuclear weapon, and they would have had a big one. It stopped really when we did the B-2, but even before that, the Barack Hussein Obama, what he did where he gave them the Iran nuclear deal, gave them free will toward a nuclear weapon. Basically, he chose Iran over Israel and others that didn't want him to do it. But I terminated that deal. Had I not terminated that deal, you would have had a nuclear weapon years ago, and it would have been used, guaranteed. And one of the reasons you know about the guarantee is because their neighbors were sort of like bystanders. They weren't involved very much. They didn't choose heavy sides. They didn't want to, because people were concerned with Iran. There was a big black cloud over the Middle East. They were concerned, but all of a sudden the war starts, and they start shooting at these five, in particular, 5 countries. They start shooting at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Oman. They start shooting at them, and everybody was shocked, including us. You know why? Because they're sick, and they had a plan to take over the Middle East. And some of those missiles that were shot at them were locked long before we even started this process. They were locked and loaded and aimed at those countries. They wanted to take over the Middle East, but we happened to come along, so it wasn't so easy. So right now their Navy is sunk in the largest elimination of a foreign Navy that has taken place, maybe ever, but certainly since World War II. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and communications capabilities are totally dismantled. And one of the problems they do have when they deal with us is we deal with people, and the people aren't able to communicate with anybody else. So, you know, because all of their leadership has been gone. The first level is gone, and they met to pick a new level, and they're gone. They're all gone because they didn't make a deal, and because they're sick people. They're really sick. They're really sinister, sick people. And if anybody thinks it was okay to have a group of people like this to have nuclear capability, nuclear weapons, and if we didn't attack with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks of that, maybe 4 weeks. But between 2 and 4 weeks, they were planning to have a nuclear weapon. If we didn't hit them at that time with the B-2 bombers, and one of the great air raids in history, maybe the greatest, dark at night, no moon, no light, every single bomb hit its mark and just obliterated that place. So it's now buried deep under earth. And it was an amazing thing, but they would have a nuclear, and they would have used it without question. And you know that because why did they shoot all these countries that weren't even really involved with them? They weren't involved. They had no big problems because they're sick, because they want to take over the Middle East, not just Israel. Certainly Israel would have been the first on their list. They would have used nuclear weapons, a nuclear, you don't need too many of them, but they would have used a nuclear weapon on Israel, and they would have used it on the neighbors, and then they would have come after us. And if we had a weak president, they would have done great damage. But fortunately, you don't have a weak president. I knew what was happening. And I think we've been proven right. You know, they took one missile, went 2,500 miles. They supposedly didn't have a missile like that. They had no missile with that capability. But they shot the now famous Ireland, the island that the UK was very afraid to give us because they didn't want to get dragged in. But we don't want to get dragged into their wars either. You know? It's one thing, we're very disappointed. I'll say it publicly. We're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing. And I've always said, 25 years ago, I mean, I was somebody that wasn't a politician, but I was always involved in politics and I understood politics. I said 25 years ago that NATO's a paper tiger, but more importantly, that we'll come to their rescue, but they will never come to
Button
ours.
watch. We're on
And
button
I want
watch.
you to remember that we said this. They didn't come to our rescue. Now they all want to help.
We're on button watch.
When they're annihilated, the other side is annihilated, they said, we'd love to send ships. They actually made a statement, a couple of them, that we want to get involved when the war's over. No, it's supposed to get involved when the war's beginning, or even before it begins. We had the UK say that we'll send, this is 3 weeks ago, we'll send our aircraft carriers, which aren't the best aircraft carriers, by the way. They're toys compared to what we have. But we'll send our aircraft carrier when the war is over. I said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Don't bother. We don't need it. And we don't need it, and we don't need them. We estimated it would take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to achieve our mission, and we're way ahead of schedule. If you look at what we've done in terms of the destruction of that country, I mean, we're way ahead. Think of it. They have no Navy, and they had good ships. 154 ships have been shot down and are resting.
Is he supposed to be saying all that stuff? Number one. Number two, if everything is so decimated, then why are people still getting shot at? Why are bombs still flying into Israel or wherever? I don't know where they're flying, but you know what I mean? Like, if this is all, if they're just totally wiped out and we're winning, why aren't we worried? Why aren't we not worried? Why aren't we just putting ships through the Strait of Hormuz if we think their navy is decimated or their missile launchers are decimated? Yeah, they shot down the ships. Just like with W, it's unfair of them to keep fighting after we defeated them. Exactly. Yeah, UAE got more. Sorry, thank you, honey. Yeah, well, I'm not sure exactly where the bombs are landing, so forgive me. But seems to me they still have bombs, or they still have missiles. They still have something. Okay, so obviously they're not decimated. I mean, I know that he thinks you're an idiot, but we're not idiots. Now, there are some idiots that are listening to him and go, oh, yeah, that's right, that's what you're doing.
Very nicely at the bottom of the sea. And we did that in a matter of less than a week.
Hi,
Because
Lee,
we have the
sorry.
greatest military in the world
Sorry,
by
you had to
far.
walk into
Nobody
this.
even close. So we estimated it would take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to achieve our mission. 26 days in,
Obliterated,
we're
decimated,
extremely,
whatever.
really a lot ahead of schedule. The Iranian regime is now admitting to itself that they have been decisively defeated. They're saying to people, this is a disaster. They know it. That's why they're talking to us. They wouldn't talk otherwise. But they're talking to us because they've got a disaster in their hands. They're defeated. They can't make a comeback. We're free to roam over their cities and towns and destroy all of their crazy nuclear weapons and missiles and drones that they're building. Oh, we're doing that. They now have a chance to make a deal, but that's up to them. And they'll tell you, we're not negotiating. We will not negotiate. Of course they're negotiating. They've been obliterated. Who wouldn't negotiate? They are begging to make a deal. We'll see if we can make the right deal.
It's the same.
And they make-
It's the same lie as yesterday, Lee. It's the same lie as yesterday. He says they're talking. They say they're not talking. He says they're decimated. They keep shooting missiles into places, or somebody's shooting missiles into places. Part of me thinks that maybe Israel wants this to keep going. And by Israel, I mean Bibi, and his little minions. But I think that I predict, and I guess I kind of hope that, yeah, he's only going to back out if it's going to be right before oil opens on Sunday night. But I think that he really is not sure about what is happening. And like Honey was saying, and Teresa, what you're saying is they show him videos. I heard that his daily briefing is in a video format, like a Fox News kind of thing. So I can see now where some of these things on repeat get planted in the whatever cortex he's got left. I don't know. Or vortex. I don't know what that's called, part of the brain. But yeah. Anyway.
the right deal.
Yeah, Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Then the strait will open up. Hormuz Strait will open up. And even now, we don't know if there are any mines. You know, they have 22 they call mine droppers. Think of it. Who would have 22 mine droppers? This is a boat that drops mines. Who has 22 mine droppers? Except for people with very evil intention. So every one of those mine droppers has been struck.
If the mine droppers have been struck, then why can't we just sail through the Strait of Hormuz?
Stop drugs from coming into the United States of America. When we hit those boats, it's the exact same weapon, extremely effective. We have unlimited supplies and extremely effective. But they have no more mine droppers. By the way, speaking of drugs, we're 98% down drugs coming in by water, by the ocean, by the sea. 98%. And we're trying to find out who are the 2% because we think they're the bravest men anywhere in the world. Maybe women. But whoever's on those boats is very brave or doesn't watch television. But where drugs coming in by sea, coming in by water, are 98% down. And now we'll stop the drugs coming in by land. The land is the easy one. You had to stop the water. A lot of it came in through water. Now it's all pinched. And these people are trying to come in by land. And we will, that's it, that's the easy one. But we had to take care of the water first. Nobody's coming in. Virtually nothing is coming in anymore. It was hundreds of millions of dollars a week were coming in by water. But they now have the chance, that is Iran, to permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions and to chart a new path forward. We'll see if they want to do it. If they don't, we're their worst nightmare. In the meantime, we'll just keep blowing them away, unimpeded, unstopped. Well, there's not a thing they can do about it. They can't do anything about it, you know? I tell you, if they could, you'd be hearing about it. You'd be hearing about it. You don't hear anything about it. They can't shoot our jets. We have the best military equipment in the world, not even a contest. And you see that with Venezuela. They had other equipment. They didn't have ours. It didn't work. Didn't work. Think of it. We did the situation in Venezuela. It was a great military operation, getting a very, very dangerous man who's killed a lot of people, forced people into our country, and
everyone is listening very intently listening to dear leader's speech. I'm going to put them down in the corner here. They can stay right there because we don't want them to cover the things. But here we go.
Incredible. He emptied his prisons in Venezuela, emptied his prisons into our country, and I hope that charge will be brought at some point, because that was a big charge that hasn't been brought yet. It should be brought. He emptied his prisons into our country and was a major purveyor of drugs coming into our country. And he's now been captured and, you know, I guess be given a fair trial. But I would imagine there are other trials coming because they have just, they've really...
Is he talking about Maduro? Is he talking about Maduro? I kind of missed who he was talking about. A lot of auto-censor on statements containing words related to war. That's weird. That is weird. Heard their plan. No, and actually, Lee, I was watching, oh God, I can't remember who it was on YouTube who was talking about what they've offered. Was it Hal? It might have been Hal or someone like that. But that he basically has offered even more than the JCPOA thing. That's it. He offered even more than the JCPOA. Yeah, he offered a ton of shit. That stuff that was far beyond. Like letting them have a missile program eventually or something like that. There's all these things that are purported to be in the deal that's been discussed that are far more what would be considered lenient, I guess, under their definitions. It's the weirdest thing.
Sued him just in a fraction.
It's the stupidest thing, as is this administration is the stupidest thing.
Of the kind of things that he's done. Other cases are going to be brought, as you probably know. In the meantime, with Iran, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, and Nobody's a match for the United States, but they're not a match for the United States. It's small potatoes. That's why I'm so disappointed in NATO, because this was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us. You don't have to, but if you don't have, if you don't do that, we're going to remember. Just remember this in a number of months from now. Remember my statements. They have an expression, a great expression, never forget. You can never forget. So as we end threats to America abroad, we're focused here at home on building the greatest economy in the history of the world. Now, before this started, the Dow hit 50,000. The S&P hit 7,000. Both of those achievements were not achievable. Every one of you, most of you, I guess, said you'll never hit 50,000 during a 4-year period because it was too high a number. Well, we hit it in our first year. And I said, well, now we have to take an excursion to Iran, and we have to stop this maniac who's no longer with us. The supreme leader wasn't so supreme, no longer with us. It's very sad. But we have to stop him from blowing up the world, blowing up the Middle East, and blowing up our country, and we did that. And frankly, I thought the oil prices would go up more, and I thought the stock market would go down more. It hasn't been nearly as severe as I thought. I think they have confidence in maybe the American president and maybe the people sitting around this table. But Americans filing their taxes this year are receiving record-setting refunds. It's been a very big story. Well, it should be a big story. I don't think you write about it that much, but I speak about it. I speak about it because if I speak about it, at least people hear. You don't write about it. You don't write about the drug prices going down. It'll be going down 30, 40, 50, 60%, 70%. Favored nations. Called most favored nations. We're going to be paying the lowest price anywhere in the world. Before we paid the highest price in the world, Bobby, right? And now we're going to pay the lowest price in the world. That's quite a difference. It's a difference of from 40 to 70 and 80 and even 90%. That's a pretty big difference. But we're slashing regulations, and investment is pouring in from all over the world. We have the most investment of any country in history has been put into our country in the last year. And again, we had to take a little detour. Won't be long. Going to end soon. We had to take a little detour, go to Iran, and we had to put out a fire. Very dangerous fire that could have blown up big portions of the world, if not the whole thing. So tomorrow we'll be announcing a variety of actions that we're taking to support American farmers, who we never forget. We love the farmers. We gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We had a tremendous amount of tariff money come in, and we continue to have. We've gone, as you know, the Supreme Court gave us a very unfortunate, foolish ruling, a ruling that gives the people that have ripped off our country for many years, gives them some money back. But it's one of those things. It's a terrible, terrible, horrible mistake they made, but it's okay because we have another method that's just as good. We'll use the other method. But because the tariff money has been so substantial, we gave our farmers, who have been mistreated by some countries, we gave them $12 billion, and they're extremely happy, and they deserve it. They've been great. They never complain. They just go out and they farm, and they wouldn't do anything different. They wouldn't trade jobs with any of you, except maybe some of the fake media. I don't know. Somehow I don't see that. I like their job better, actually. I love the farmers. So we gave them $12 billion. So in just a few moments, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will discuss the actions that we're taking to address energy prices, which have not gone up as much as I thought, Scott, to be honest with you. And, it's not over, so maybe it'll go up a little bit more. It's all going to come back down to where it was, and probably lower. And my predictions have been right. Trump was right about everything. They have a new hat. Trump was right about everything. It's pretty right. But Scott's going to address that. And I think before we go very much further, I want to ask Vice President J.D. Vance to say a few words about where we are with the situation he's involved with Steve and with Jared on negotiations. And then some of the others will speak. We'll have Marco say a few words, Pete Hegseth, who's who was born for this role. I mean, he's doing a great job. They gave him a hard time. And now people, I'll tell you, somebody came up to me yesterday, gave you a very hard time, said, you know, I made a mistake. Pete Hegseth is doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
So when I tell you who, you're not even going to believe it. He said Hegseth. He gave you such a nasty hard time. But you're doing great. And then Steve is going to
Was that little slip of the forked tongue? Who complained about Hegseth to him? Oh, how embarrassing. Oh my God. Lack of filter grandpa is just so funny. Oh my God.
speak, and
This is
Scott will speak
hilarious.
last. And if we have any questions, we'll take some questions. You may have questions. I doubt it, but you may have some. So, JD, please.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. It's good to see everybody. Proud to be part of this team. Proud to be serving the president of the country.
That button's
Let me just
gonna
say a couple
pop.
things. The first of all is the president summarized this very ably. But look, the Iranian conventional military is effectively destroyed. They don't have a navy. They don't have the ability to hit us like they could have even a few weeks ago. And what that does is that gives us options, Mr. President. Now, there's been a lot of reporting about diplomatic options, about negotiations. There's, of course, Pete and his team. There are further military options. But what we have now that we didn't have when the president took over just a little over a year ago is the ability to use every tool at our disposal to ensure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. Because when I say options, I think it's important the American people know options for what? And it's options to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. You talk about people who walk into a crowded supermarket and have a vest on, and they blow up the vest and a couple of people get killed, and that's a terrible tragedy. What happens when what's on the vest is not something that can kill a couple of people, but can kill many, many tens of thousands of people? That is the most important American national security objective that exists for any administration at any time, is you don't want the worst people in the world to have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president is doing this. That's why the president
The president is doing this so that people won't strap nuclear bombs to their vests and puff them up and walk into grocery stores? Is that what it is? Is that what? Okay. Is that what?
There's so much about this particular issue. I'll let Steve talk a little bit about the details of the negotiation, but the last thing I'll say before I turn it over to Marco is I'm very mindful, of course, that we have a lot of folks overseas fighting very ably for the United States of America. I know Pete and the whole team, we're very proud of them, but they're fighting at a time where we're about to enter as Christians the most important week of the Christian calendar, the Holy Week that celebrates the return of Jesus Christ to Jerusalem. And so I want to say to all of my fellow American Christians, but particularly those serving in the Gulf, that I wish you all a very blessed Easter, a very blessed Holy Week, and we continue to stand behind you and continue to support you every step of the way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Marco?
The most important job any president has is to keep the American people safe. And every president says it, but we have a president that means it and does something about it. As the president outlined very clearly to the world on the night this operation began, Iran has been at war with the United States for 47 years. For 47 years, Iran has been killing Americans and attacking Americans across this planet. And other presidents had an opportunity to do something about it. And they all warned about how Iran was dangerous, but they refused to act. And this president's not someone that's going to refuse to act. He's not going to leave a danger like this in place. He's going to address it, and that is what he is doing. From the very first night of this operation, the president made it very clear. People like this, and now what I'm talking about is not the people of Iran. The people that run this country are radical Shia clerics. These are religious fanatics. Look what they are doing now. At their weakest point, this is the weakest Iran has ever been, and look at what they're doing. They're attacking embassies. They're attacking hotels. Imagine what these people would do if they had a nuclear weapon. That is an unacceptable risk for the world. By the way,
Who's staying in the hotel? Is he talking about the Lebanon thing? I don't even know.
The president's not just doing a favor to the United States and to our people. This is for the world. He defined very clearly on the first night of this operation what the goal was. We were going to destroy Iran's navy, and that is happening. We were going to, if it hasn't already happened, I'll let Pete speak to the specifics of it. We were going to destroy their missile launching capabilities. We're well on our way to achieving that goal. We were going to destroy the factories so they couldn't make more missiles and more drones, and that is moving forward. Every single objective the president clearly laid out on the first night of this operation is being effectuated. Again, Pete will speak to the specifics of it. This has been an incredibly successful operation. Every day, it may not get covered because, you know, we're unlike them. We're not bombing embassies and hotels. We're hitting military targets. But every day, the Department of War.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl. We hit a school. Okay. And you want to know why we hit a school? Because the intelligence was old. Yeah. That's what we did. Yeah. And that's not going away, Marco. That's not going to go away. So I would be careful about bringing up soft targets. Okay. Because we are hitting soft targets. Period. We're the aggressors in this. Sorry. We are the aggressors. We're the drama.
Lets the drummer get wicked over every portion of Iran that has these military capabilities, and the results are going to bear fruit for the world. The world is going to be a safer and a better place when President Trump's mission here is achieved. And frankly, I think countries around the world
is a much more dangerous place than it was a year and a half ago. The world is a far more dangerous place than it was a year and a half ago. On January 19th, 2025, the world was safer than it is today.
World, even those that are out there complaining about this a little bit, should actually be grateful that the United States has a president that's willing to confront a threat like this and not allow it to continue to persist. Because these people will kill as many Americans as they have a chance to do.
Marco, why are you supporting a man who raped children credibly? Why are you sitting next to a man who literally hit a 13-year-old girl who was giving him oral sex, who he was raping, and you're sitting next to him? How do you feel about that, Marco? Because it's coming out, whether you like it or not. It's going to come out, and you're going to be painted with that brush as a pedophile supporter. And you're not going to be able to spin your way out of it, because I will not let you do that. You will never rest. You will never rest, members of this cabal. You will never rest.
And if they have a nuclear weapon, as the vice president pointed out, they could kill millions of Americans in the future. And that is a risk that was not going to continue to exist.
I think Marco wanted power so badly that he is willing to do anything and anyone in order to have that power, because he was denied the presidential crown by so many past Republican primaries that he thinks this is his moment. And he's decided that the calculus is it's better to be with them than against them. That's literally what I think, Marco. And it allows him to get his vengeance against Cuba, his vengeance against Venezuela, his vengeance against other South American and Central American countries. For whatever reason, he's got this hard on. You know, I know the Cuba thing is because of his family, etc., but he is living out his greatest fantasy because he knew he couldn't be the top guy. Maybe he can now because he's thinking, wow, I'm looking pretty good. But it is the war crimes and shit and the stuff that he's done with USAID, that's going to come back to haunt him. Because there's actual death happening because USAID pulled out. And it might not happen in my lifetime, but it's going to happen. Because you know what? They all end up on the side of a wall. No matter what evil is in this world, more often than not, at least, they end up on the side of a wall. And Marco, you're going to end up on the side of a wall. That's it. So that's what I think Marco's thing is. I think he's a true believer in himself, and he sees this as his only way to greatness. And so he's like, well, if I have to suck the dick of a child rapist, well, I guess that's what I've got to do.
As long as we had this president.
That's it. Period.
Thank you, Marco. You know, it's very interesting because yesterday I was watching is it Anthony Blinken, and he was saying that they should have done it. But they didn't do it. Nobody did it. Nobody did it. For 47 years, Marco, that's the number, 47. I guess now it's 48, because we've been saying 47 for a long time. It's probably 48. But for 47, 48 years, every president should have done this. And some are saying now that they made a big mistake in not doing it, but we're taking care of business. Steve Witkoff, please.
Mr. President, it is my distinct honor to be a member of your cabinet and to report to you and your team on our negotiations with Iran. Mr. President, you directed Jared and I to pursue a diplomatic resolution with Iran prior to Operation Epic Fury, which we did. However, it became quite clear during these meetings with the Iranian negotiating team that we could not make a deal that fulfilled your objectives of the following: no enrichment whatsoever, no chance of weaponizing whatsoever, decommissioning of Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan, which you destroyed in Operation Midnight Hammer, no stockpiling of any material, which they flagrantly had violated, turning all enriched material over to us, and a cutback in Iran's missile inventory and range capability of those same missiles. Throughout our meetings with the Iranians, we heard the following from them. The Iranians have the inalienable right to enrich. Then we heard they possessed enough 60% enriched material, 460 kilograms, to make 11 atomic bombs. Finally, we heard the following statement. They would not give up diplomatically what we could not win militarily. In other words, they were again miscalculating the success of Midnight Hammer, which was a total success. These are incontrovertible signs, among many other signs, sir, that their regime had not given their negotiating team authority to make a deal required by you. We conferred with you and all the other members of your foreign policy team, Susie Wiles, Pete Hegseth, the chairman, Marco Rubio, JD, Scott Bessent, Chris Wright, John Radcliffe, throughout all of these negotiations, and we were repeatedly rebuffed on everything we asked for. I have no doubt that we exhausted all efforts on behalf of a peaceful resolution, as you directed. Jared and I both agreed that the Iranians were there to buy time until a weaker president arrived. This was a flawed strategy, as your clear direction was to never allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon today or any time in the future. Against that backdrop, and our compelling military successes in Epic Fury, we have had multiple reach-outs from the region and others who want to play a role in ending this conflict peacefully. I can report to you today that we have, along with your foreign policy team, presented a 15-point action list that forms the framework for a peace deal. This has been circulated.
They already said no to that shit, you dipshit. Do you think we don't listen to the fucking news? If you haven't heard the news, Witkoff, you fucking asshole, you fucking rapist of the country, you and your shitty little spawn of a son. Fuck you, Witkoff. This guy is definitely at Nuremberg. I have him in the front row. They already turned down your 15-point plan, you fucking dipshit.
Through the Pakistani government, acting as the mediator. And this has resulted in strong and positive messaging in talks, as you just indicated to the press. But these are sensitive diplomatic discussions, and you have directed us to maintain confidentiality on the specific terms and not negotiate through the news media as others do. I can say this: we will see where things lead, and if we can convince Iran that this is the inflection point with no good alternatives for them, other than more death and destruction. We have strong signs that this is a possibility, and if a deal happens, it will be great for the country of Iran, for the entire region, and the world at large.
Oh, will any of them be alive? Will any of them be alive, Steve? Is there going to be any Iranians left? Steve, are you going to build a mall there, Steve? There's another $5 billion coming to Jared. I'm not sure I understand why his work with affinity partners can continue to go the way that it does. In fact, if he is literally volunteering his time to negotiate, and if he's part of the team negotiating with foreign powers, does that mean he's read into the intelligence as a volunteer? I have so many questions. Why isn't anyone asking any questions about Jared Kushner? I was looking into that last night. I'm like, what is his official role? And it turns out he doesn't have an official role. He's literally a volunteer. And so you're telling me a volunteer with business ties to members of the parties engaged in the conversations is actually part of this read into intelligence? A volunteer is read into very, very sensitive intelligence in order to have top-level negotiations with nuclear powers? Really? Really? I don't think his role expired. I don't think his role is well enough defined because nobody seems to give a flying fuck where he is or what information he has access to. And I'm going to show you, where is it? I don't know. I think I have it on the other screen, but I'll just pull it up. Yeah, hold on. Let me show you. I'm not fucking, like, this is, I don't even understand this, you know, and I know that's what they count on. They count on the fact that we're not going to understand or pay attention. But this is this headline, okay? Jared Kushner solicits funds for his firm while working as a Mideast envoy. This isn't the $2 billion he got in the old days. It's not the other money he's just gotten. No. This is new money. President Dump. Jared's trying to raise $5 billion or more from foreign governments, and I mean the UAE and the Saudis and other people. Okay, it's not just any government that he's trying to get it from. It's the fucking governments who are impacted by the goddamn war. But nobody seems to care about that. Oh, and Jared is big buddies with this dipshit's fucking spawn, this piece of crap, and his should have been aborted son. Sorry. Urgh. I hate these people. Eat the rich.
Your policy of peace through strength is the most effective tool for a diplomatic resolution here, just as this policy was an effective tool in each and every one of all of the other conflicts you settled in your first year. Iran is looking for an off-ramp following your powerful threat on Saturday. Your indications that you are willing to listen to peace proposals have been well received. You have instructed us that your preference is always peace, and that we should make that our priority. We have delivered that message, sir, along with the 15 points for peace. Finally, we have told Iran one last thing. Don't miscalculate again.
Good. Thank you very much. Good job. Doing a great job. Everybody around this table is doing a great job. Pete Hegseth, please.
Mr. President. I'll start kind of where you left off, Mr. President. Thank you for doing the work of the free world and having the courage to step up and stop the Iranian terror regime from holding the world hostage. That's really what it is. And 27 days ago, Iran had a modern military. Never in recorded history has a nation's military been so quickly and effectively neutralized. Operation Epic Fury is not an endless war. It's a decisive campaign with clear objectives to destroy Iran's offensive military capabilities and ensure They never obtained a nuclear weapon. This is stuff for the history books. This is stuff for legacy. Mr. President,
Oh, girl. Oh, let's talk about legacy and for the history books. No shit, Pete. Yeah, I'll give you that. You're right about that. You are correct about that. You are going to be in the history books, my friend. And let me tell you, one of the top headlines of you and your little friends in the history books is going to be this. That's right. There you are. You're right next to Dumpo, actually. I have you right next to Dumpo. There's little JD. And there's Steve Witkoff. That's right. There's Steve Witkoff. And there's Crispy Gnome, because I threw her in there in the front row. Marco's way back in the back, but he's looking pretty sad. Yeah. The history books. The people that end up on the wall. That's right, Jane.
you are acting now to
look at
ensure
history.
future generations do not have to live under the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. However, you wouldn't know it if you listened to the dishonest hate Trump media, as you referenced. The folks here in the room, these cameras, they have a choice. You're either informing the American people of the truth or you're not. Because I hear it from my people.
What the hell are you talking about? They're reporting what you say, you stupid dipshit. Maybe you should stop watching MS Now. I don't watch MS Now, so I'm not hearing anything that if they're commenting or having an opinion about the news, that's fine. But why are you watching that if it bothers you so much? Yeah, I want to see Jared's laptop.
People
Here's
every
a
day.
laptop I'd like to see.
Behind every headline you write, there's a helicopter crew in the air. And behind every news banner you write, there's a battalion on the move. And behind every fake news story, there's an F-35 pilot executing a dangerous
And you know what? You know what, motherfucker? You're the one who's putting them in danger. You're the one who's putting those pilots in danger. You're the one who's putting their lives at risk, not anybody else. How fucking weak of you to blame people for what you, sir, are doing. You are going to end up on trial for crimes against humanity. You are going to end up on trial for war crimes. You are going to be executed for treason. That is what's going to happen to you, Pete Pig's Breath. So you can act like this is some fucking Halo game or Call of Duty bullshit. But I'm going to tell you right now, motherfucker, they're going to take the controller from you and they're going to stick you up against the side of a wall. And I will laugh.
My message to the media is get it right.
Get the fuck off
This
of the
actually
stage.
isn't something new to me. I may be a young guy, Mr. President, but I'm not a rookie in this realm. In 2007, I helped lead the surge, the public fight for the Iraq surge. Stood and watched people stand in the Senate and declare the war is lost before it even started. Who was that? It was Harry Reid. That was the Democrats and the media working hand in glove. Back then, it was 3 years into a war. Now we're 3 weeks into an operation. But see, unlike Iraq, this isn't a tie. This is not parody. This is not chaos. This is success, pure American success, on plan, and as the president said, ahead of pace. Over 10,000 enemy targets destroyed, over 140, I think now you're right, Mr. President, over 150 naval vessels sunk, underground facilities destroyed, their defense industrial base in shambles, and overnight, not only do they not have a Navy, Mr. President, they no longer have a Navy commander. IRGC's Navy commander was killed overnight in operation. So no Navy leader. Now that here's the thing about the media though, if President Trump had not acted, you'd be screaming, why not? And now that he has taken decisive action, you're asking, well, why did you?
I literally don't think anyone would be saying that, Pete. Okay, I know you think you're funny, and I know you're acting for him. But, yeah, we took away all the hammers. Yeah, maybe you'd hold on to one prison for this guy. And killed the carpenter. Yeah, exactly. But we didn't, because the carpenter still comes back. That carpenter still hits us. That's right. Welcome to the end times. I love you. That's right. Welcome to end times. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
It's the same old tired playbook, TDS in your DNA. But the hardworking, God-fearing, patriotic Americans out there know
Which ones
better.
are those?
And you alluded to this, President Obama, Mr. President. Here's a fact that you don't hear on your networks, but we know. Many of the Iranian military factories and bases that we're systematically destroying were paid for by the pallets of American cash.
This is a lie. You're lying, Mr. Pig's Breath. Ooh, ooh. The money that was given to Iran as part of that deal was their money that was collected and held in U.S. banks as part of sanctions. So it was only the fact that we were holding the money that the money was flown in by the Americans. Okay? So this is a joint agreement with many countries. We were not the ones who decided, give the money, but this was actually the Iranians' money. And as part of their discussion, as part of their conversations with us to eliminate or reduce their nuclear program, however that came out, they would then get access to the money that was theirs that had been sanctioned. So it is not pallets of American cash. It is money that the United States, as the holder of said funds, was responsible for then delivering back to Iran. Because the Iranians agreed, much like Ukraine back in the day, to eliminate or severely reduce, or whatever the details were, their nuclear program. That's what the deal was. So frozen assets. So you can complain all day long that the Americans paid off the Iranians. They didn't. Sorry. And if you want to argue about Obama and warmongering or not warmongering or whatever, we can have that conversation, but he's not president anymore, and we've got some very important things to talk about, unfortunately. So maybe another day we can have the Obama was this, that, and the other thing. Right now we have this one. And he's this, that, and the other thing. So we need to talk about him and what he's doing, which is blowing up schools and creating and doubling the price of oil and creating a much higher consumer price index because of his tariffs. So literally everything that we're experiencing right now that is really painful is a self-inflicted wound.
That Barack Obama flew into Tehran under the Iran deal.
He did it.
You might call it an inconvenient truth.
He did it. It's not even true.
Iran took our money and turned
It's
it into
a lie.
weapons and bunkers and ammo. And now we're destroying those weapons, and
Prove it.
you're writing, Mr. President, that grievous wrong.
Prove it.
And make no mistake, we had to act. And our objectives are clear. No nukes, no Navy,
to act?
and a complete
Why?
dismantling of their
That's a
missile
big
program and
question.
defense industrial base. And as Marco pointed out, that mission, and the VP as well, has not changed since day one. Yet,
Mr. TV.
2 days ago, they shot 2 failed missiles on a target 4,000 kilometers away. For years, they told the world that their missiles could only range to...
Yeah, but did they? Please prove to me that the Diego missile 4,000 miles away from Iran was actually shot by Iran. Prove it. Prove it to me. Prove to me that missile, those missiles that went to the island, prove it. Prove that those missiles came from Iran, because I actually don't believe that they did. I think Israel did it. I really do. I know, but I'm going to say it. I think Israel did it. Because the Iranians, as part of their agreement with, I guess, the IE, I'm not sure who, but they have only built certain capabilities for their missiles. I think they were limited to like 2,000 kilometers or something like that. Which, you can say, oh my God, they probably lied about it. Well, then why haven't they done this before? If they've had this capability, why wouldn't they have used it before? Really? So I call bullshit. I think Israel shot those motherfucking missiles from a ship somewhere close to Iran or whatever But we'll never know. We'll never see the data on that. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it was Iran. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if they had that capability, I think they would have used it a while ago.
Kilometers.
Do the fucking math.
Surprise. Yet again, Iran
release
lied. And to the
Pine
world,
Gap
I say
records.
London is 4,000 kilometers from Iran. Washington, D.C. is 3,300 kilometers from Venezuela, another country President Trump did.
And isn't it convenient that the 4,000 miles and things like that allow him to do this kind of scare tactic where he's basically scaring Mima in, rural Maryland or West Virginia or wherever and saying, hey, Mima, this missile can hit you. Isn't that convenient when we're fighting a war that we started that is not going well and at least 13 people have been killed from our side for no reason whatsoever? Isn't that interesting? What a convenient fact to now have in your back pocket to say, hey, Grandma, the Iranians are coming for you too. I call total motherfucking bullshit. And you know what? This is a war crime. That's a war crime. I don't know. I don't know how this world holds these people to account, but I motherfucking hope we do. Jesus fucking Christ.
Did something about
Oh my
that partnered
God.
for a long time with Iran. So you're telling us that Iran is not a threat to the world or to the U.S. President Trump knows better. And here's what success actually looks like right now. You mentioned it, Mr. President. A-10 Warthogs, if you know them, you love them, and Apache helicopter gunships are flying strike missions inside Iranian airspace and throughout the Strait of Hormuz at will. See, you only send these slow, low-flying, close air support platforms when the enemy has no meaningful air defenses left. Their presence is proof that Iran's air defenses are gone. Their command and control is shattered, their top leaders hiding in underground bunkers, while their mid-level commanders are being crushed in the field.
Well, then why aren't we done? Then why aren't we done? What's the end? What happens after they're decimated? Like, when is it over? Are we done or not? Are they done or not? Did we kill everybody or not? Like, what the fuck? Are people this stupid? Are Americans really this motherfucking stupid? Oh my
The
God.
morale of their fighters plummeting, and we see that disconnect daily. They're privately admitting, as you said, Mr. President, very heavy losses. We know that. President Trump has given us a clear mission. Our capabilities are only going up and Iran's are plummeting. We are here to win, and we're full speed ahead. So, Steve, we appreciate your efforts. We pray for a deal, and we welcome a deal, and we have the ultimate deal maker to make it happen. But in the meantime, as I said yesterday, the Department of War will continue negotiating with bombs. War is negotiation by other means. And finally, I want to thank our incredible troops, our pilots, crews, sailors, refuelers, air defenders, the absolute best of America, the real 1% of our country. This president, President Trump, has your back. And I know this cabinet prays for you every single day. And we ask the American people to do the same.
He's sleeping. He is sleeping. He's gone none-night. He's gone none-night. He hears his name once in a while and he like, He's sleeping. He's an eepy baby. Go to bed and good night. Hope you throw a blood clot sleeping, and it travels up your brain, and it clogs a little blood. No blood flow, so you know, means you sleep forever. Doesn't that sound great? Maybe blood clots aren't bad.
As they continue in this mission. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great. I think before I ask Scott to say a couple of words, it would be great if people like the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois would say, please come in and stop the crime. A beautiful young lady was killed the other day, and the father was a very good friend of Dan Scavino. And he took it very hard. Dan took it very hard, like the father, friends. They grew up together. And it's a young lady whose life would be saved if we did what we did as an example in Washington, D.C., which is now a safe city. All the time, people come up to me in the building, people that work here, they say, thank you so much. I know immediately what they're talking about. They're able to walk to work. They walk to work. You all walk to work. Some of you were mugged. I know you told me stories. Some of you were mugged.
You know what? I lived in D.C. for a number of years, and I worked in D.C., and I walked to work almost every day. In fact, I did walk to work almost every day, yeah. I took the bus sometimes, but other than that, I walked to work. I walked everywhere in D.C. I love it. I walk in Southeast D.C. I walked everywhere. D.C. is not scary. It wasn't scary. I was in D.C. in the 80s. Come on now. Yeah, Americans.
One person in particular was viciously mugged in the group right here. It's not happening anymore. You have a safe city. Louisiana, the governor of Louisiana called me, can you help me with New Orleans? They just had the Mardi Gras. He said it was the safest Mardi Gras we've ever had. Sounds terrible to say. No murders. You know, it sounds like, who would say this? No murders, but they always had murders. They had a lot of crime during Mardi Gras. He said virtually no crime. We had the troops down there. Memphis, Tennessee, I just got back. We were there. Crime is down 75%. In a short period of time, we're there 5 months. We could do that for Chicago. We could do that for New York. We could do that for LA. And we could do that for, frankly, San Francisco. I know they have a mayor who's trying very hard. He's a Democrat, but he's trying very hard. But we can do it much more effectively because he can't do what we do. He can't take people out from the city and bring them back to the country from where they came, where they were in prisons. They were allowed to go in prisons. There were drug dealers, the highest level drug dealers, murderers, 11,888 murders. We do things that they can't do. I had friends calling me up from San Francisco. Could you give him a chance? I said, absolutely. If you want him, we'll give him a chance. And he's trying. He's doing okay, but we could do much better. We could make it a lot safer than it is. San Francisco, a great city, was a great city, could quickly become a great city again. But, you know, they're going very slowly. I tell my friends they're very substantial people. They're in a certain business where people have made a lot of money. I hope that lasts. But they have
substantial people, you know, not like
tremendous potential. It was one of the greatest cities in the world. Now it's got a lot of crime. And the mayor is really trying it. Again, a Democrat trying. And I spoke to him. He just wants to have a chance. And I said, we'll give you a chance. But we can solve it very quickly. This young lady would be around today if we were around, because we have nobody coming through our border. I mean, literally for 9 months, it's zero. It's hard to believe that number can be possible because millions of people came in through Biden. But nobody even tries. We don't have the caravans of thousands, 25, 30,000 people pouring into our border. They come up in caravans. We don't have caravans anymore. There's no such thing anymore. There's a name that I think I developed, but somebody developed it, but I think it was me. I thought it was an appropriate name. Thousands of people would come up and just barge into our country, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And this man came in, Dan, right? And he came in through the ridiculous open border of Biden. If we were there, the election was rigged. What are you going to do? Came back, big comeback. But if we were there, we wouldn't have had people coming through. It's amazing. You know, it's so easy now because everyone knows they're not getting through. We don't have any caravans. Once they know that, when it was easy to come through. When I heard that they had an open border policy, I said, boy, this is going to be, I couldn't believe it. But when it was actually, you know, it dawned on me because I had built 1,000 miles of wall And we were finishing up some, and he didn't want to finish it up. I said, they really do want to have an open border. And we got it finished. But that young lady would be alive today. And she'd be alive for another reason, because we would have the National Guard in Chicago and in New York and in other places. And they love doing it. It's like training, to be honest. It's actually training. I never want to take them out of D.C. I mean, maybe somebody later on will do it, but I never want to take. You know, the people, they look, they say, we feel so good, we feel so safe. We see these beautiful, strong people, and they're so nice. They help, they open the doors for people. They carry bags. They pick up paper when they see paper on the ground. I looked at D.C. last night. I drove to make a speech, and I drove through, and I said, take me this way, take me that way.
Honey,
The city's clean, the fences are down.
It wasn't an
You don't
open
have
border.
homeless all over your parks. I mean, we had parks, there was no room for anything else other than homeless. It's
Where
all
are those
clean and
people
nice.
now
It's
that
gonna,
they
and it'll be even more
displaced?
beautiful in a
I
year
know,
from
look at
now. And we have some projects that are great. This ballroom is going to be something that's so beautiful for the city, so desperately needed by presidents. I mean, now it's no secret the military wanted it more than anybody. It was supposed to be secret, but it became unsecret because of people that are really unpatriotic saying things. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's going to be great. We're building an arc, a triumphal arc, which will be incredible for the city. Incredible. We're fixing up what was the Kennedy Center. You know, I was honored when the board changed the name a little bit. Actually, it shows that the Republican and the Democrats, they work together. It's really something we work together. So I think it's a great symbol, actually. But we're doing a lot of work. That building is ready to fall down. It's in terrible shape. We're closing it. We're going to open it with a bang in less than 2 years. It'll come in under budget, ahead of schedule. That's what I do. It won't be like the Federal Reserve that's costing $4 billion or something thereabouts. Think
It's
of it.
not. No, that's incorrect. That is incorrect. It is not 4 billion. It's 2.5 billion. It's about 600 million over budget, and everybody has already investigated that. Everyone has already investigated the Federal Reserve building. Period. Full stop. And if you want to know about the federal building, you need to go and look at one of my places where I talk about it, because I fucking talk about that all the time.
$4 billion. You know, it's amazing. I said to the group before, I said, everything I do, I get sued.
It's not 4 billion.
I build under budget, ahead of schedule. I get sued over a ballroom that's going to be the most beautiful ballroom in the country, so desperately needed. You won't have to have tents sitting on the wet White House lawn. If it rains, you get wiped out, to honor the president of China or the president of France or the president of somewhere.
Meowing, I saw that about the IOC. Here's the thing. I am totally against the Olympics now. I think we all need to boycott the Olympics. I think we all need to boycott the Olympics, because all it is a bunch of white men bowing down to this white man and not wanting to suck the dick of a child rapist. That's literally what the IOC is to me now. So fuck you, IOC, fuck your Olympics, fuck Olympians, fuck all of you. And if the Olympians aren't the ones who also stand up and say, nope, I'm not doing it, then fuck you too. I don't give a shit. Everything is on the line now. Put your fucking skin in the game.
You could have the greatest. We get sued by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. They don't know what they're doing. Then I just found out we got sued by that group and another group, I guess, on the fixing up.
Yes, let us retain the criticism of institutions after this particular guy is gone. I totally agree. I completely agree with you, Oomph. I don't care if everybody was trans in the Olympics. This is bullshit. And we always knew it was bullshit, but now they just put it out there and said, guess what? We're going to absolutely, in fact, we're just going to we're going to just totally do everything we can to make people feel as exposed and vulnerable as possible. That's what they did for a child rapist. I'm going to tell you right now, if trans women in sports was such a huge issue, then they would have won everything. Okay? So unless you're telling me that trans women have been winning every sporting event since time began, you're totally wrong. You're totally motherfucking wrong. So stop and let people live. My God. What is wrong with people? What is fucking wrong?
Again, I'll use the old name.
Riley came in fourth because she's a shitty swimmer. Sorry, Riley Gaines, you fucking suck. You couldn't even come in second. You came in, you tied for fifth. You're just a shitty swimmer. Somebody's got to tell you that.
Kennedy Center, because they're not fixing up Trump Kennedy. It's going to be beautiful when you add the name Trump. But we got sued. And all I'm doing is fixing it up. We're fixing broken marble.
Can I just say again, the Kennedy Center is a memorial to a dead president. It isn't a theater. It isn't anything. It is goddamn fucking memorial, like a gravesite to a dead president. Why in the world would someone who's living put their name on a memorial for another dead person? God. Well, fourth in the Olympics. Well, I mean, it didn't win. You know, it didn't win.
We're putting on a roof because it leaks like a sieve. We're fixing steel that's broken. It's the same building, same exact building. We're fixing it. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be so beautiful and safe. It's actually unsafe. You had some of those columns on the outside that were painted a fake gold. Now we painted them a beautiful white color, beautiful cream white. It's beautiful. Everyone said it's so much more beautiful now. Instead of a cheap, you can't imitate gold. See, I'm a gold person. It's all real stuff. You can't imitate it. Someday they'll discover a paint that will look like gold, and the guy's going to be the richest man in the world. But you can't imitate real gold. It just doesn't.
I'm sorry. So did you just say that everything that's on the walls is actual gold leaf? You're telling me that the President of the United States used actual gold leaf on all of that decoration?
That's 24 karat, which is what this building deserves. But think of it.
Oh, it's not only just gold leaf, it's 24 karat gold leaf. Wow. What, did you guys vote for this? Did you vote for this?
I get sued because I'm fixing up the Trump Kennedy Center. We're going to make it gorgeous and safe. We're fixing new windows, new this, but just all fix up. I got sued by preservationists. But you know who they didn't sue? The man that took this beautiful Federal Reserve building. That's small, much smaller than the hotel I built. I built the Waldorf Astoria Hotel down the road. And it was a beautiful job for $201 million. It's bigger, I think, than the Federal Reserve building. And it's got rooms and bathrooms, and it's not like just an open office space, which is much cheaper to build. Think of this. I hear he's going to be over $4 billion for a little building. He doesn't get sued by anybody but me. I sue because it's either somebody's very crooked, which has to be, because what happened to all that money? You can't sue. I would have done that building for $25 million. It's going to cost maybe $4 billion, and we have a great new person coming in to take over the Fed. And Kevin may not ever have an office. Because I don't know if they're going to be able to build. I passed that building the other day. It's a see-through. You know what see-through means? There's no walls up. And they're going to spend. But the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is a joke, by the way, they didn't sue that building. They didn't sue anybody.
The what I just showed you is that the DOJ lawyer, okay, the DOJ lawyer that was in charge of the Powell case, you know, bringing a case against Powell and the Federal Reserve for this building project. Literally just this week, a judge told, the DOJ lawyer, the lawyer for him, his lawyer, told the judge, we don't have evidence to pursue Powell over the renovations because the renovations are not criminal. They're already being audited again by the OIG. This is literally something that is very transparent. And we just read a really long article about what the costs in that particular Federal Reserve project were. Okay? So nothing to see here. He's making it all up. If we put him in a room with a pile of Architectural Digest and Pro Wrestling Illustrated, we might have a chance. I think he's talking about the old post office that became the Trump Hotel. But then is the Waldorf Astoria now? Didn't he have to sell it? I think he sold it, right? Is that what he's talking about?
But they sue me and I build. And by the way, my buildings, it's all donations. Rich people and people are putting up the money. 0 taxpayer dollars. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, it was a
0 taxpayer dollars. This stuff is all done for free and I get sued. This could only happen to Trump. But they don't sue the guy whose interest rates are too high. That's why we call him Too Late. His name is Jerome Powell. We call him Jerome Too Late Powell. And done a terrible job. He suffers from Trump derangement syndrome, as he probably should, because I hit him pretty hard. So I don't blame him. But
You didn't hit him hard.
they don't sue a man who has taken this gorgeous building, ripped it down from the inside, taking ceilings that are as beautiful as you've ever seen, taking the ceilings down instead of leaving them, taking walls down that were 2 feet thick of solid concrete and plaster, replacing them with 6-inch walls with no insulation. I said, let me ask you, are you going to put insulation in? No, it's not in the budget. Oh. Insulation costs $5. Now you're going to hear the guy next door. If he's next door to me, I'll be able to hear his military plan. I'll know exactly. If Lutnick is in there, I'll say, oh, I know exactly what Lutnick's got planned. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. They've ripped this gorgeous building apart, and you can never build it again. I could, but it costs a lot of money. But a normal person can never build. So you're going to have crummy little walls, a flat little ceiling eventually, but right now you don't have anything. And nobody sues this guy. And then when Jeanine Pirro, working with Pam and others, has the courage to sue to find out what happened to maybe $4 billion and a building that may never be occupied by Kevin Warsh. She may never get there. We're going to have to find him some space in the White House. We'll put him in the basement of the ballroom. But when, now think of it, when Jeanine Pirro and Pam and the group, when they bring a suit, it's like, oh, this terrible thing. And then we have a judge that attacks us. She attacks us. So we've got to get our priorities straight, you know. It's a very sad thing that's happened with the Fed. And then just one other thing very quickly, you have Gavin Newsom in California Railroad. That's 100 times over budget. It's out of control. It was supposed to go from the middle of San Francisco to the middle of LA. Well, now it stops way short of both. It now goes into areas that nobody ever heard of. It's billions and billions of dollars over budget, years and years, maybe decades late. And that's why we have a country that has a lot of problems, you know. We have incompetent people. It's all people. Think of this, Federal Reserve, I would have had that building done for $25 million. I would have, if I did it, it was up to Somebody else would have done it for more. So maybe 50.
What is he
You could have
talking
done that
about?
building if it was properly done and planned. You would have done that building for.
I know, Stephanie,
I would
but
have
I'm
done
having
it
fun, so
for
just have fun
25
with
million,
it.
and it would be better. It would be better. See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give too much publicity, but they do treat me well. Sharpie. So I came here, they have $1,000 pens. And you know, you hand pens out, you're signing and you hand them out, you're handing them to all these people. Sometimes you have 30, 40 people. And they were $1,000 a piece. Beautiful pen, ballpoint. 1,000, it was gold, silver, gorgeous. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what they're. What is this, mommy? It's kids. They're getting a pen for $1,000. They have no idea what it is. And I feel guilty because I'm like, you know, I'm by nature. You know, it's the government. I love the government like I love myself economically. I want to save money. So I'm saying, this is crazy. And it had another problem. They didn't write well. So I take it out. And I sign, and there's no ink. And I got all you people looking. And you say, there must be something wrong with
we haven't started. Like Honey said, Max, a.k.a. Honey. Yeah, the Sharpie, yeah. The drugs are kicking in. I took the drugs, and the drugs are working. The drugs are working. I took the drugs, and the drugs are working. The drugs are working. I took the drugs, and the drugs are working. Drugs are working. I took the drugs, and the drugs are working. Drugs are working.
Trump. And I'm signing, and there's no ink in the pen, and it costs $1,000. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it saying Sharpie. As I'm signing a $1 trillion airplane contract to buy brand new fighter jets, brand new B-2 bombers, of which we just ordered plenty. I can't do that with the press. Use your pen, but I like the pen the best, but I'll sign it. I could do like Biden did, you know? Give it to somebody else to sign, or an auto pen, or maybe sign it separately in another room, but I can't use your pen. He said, well, I can make it nicer. I said, what can you do? He said, I'll paint it black. I said, that's nice. And I can even paint the White House on it, sir, if you like, in gold. Almost real gold, not bad. And I can even do your signature, sir. And by the way, this was not staged. I just saw the pen sitting there, and I thought of this as an example of how $25 million spent by me at the Federal Reserve Building would be a better job than $4 billion
It's not $4 billion.
that they're spending. And you know, one of the things that Kevin Warsh told me, he said they ripped down the nicest building. I don't know what building they're talking about. They ripped down a building, Scott, right? Kevin Warsh said it's the most beautiful building in Washington. He said the most beautiful space. They ripped it down. Why did they do that? I don't know. Do you know what he's talking about? Is it true?
Yes, sir.
They ripped it down. We have a moron at the Fed. Who wouldn't be lowering interest rates right now? But I want to thank Janine Pirro and Pam and her group for having the courage to bring this suit. And I believe that the contractor on that job is probably one of the richest men in the country right now. I believe that it's not possible to spend that kind of money. $3 billion, $4 billion. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea what it is.
They know exactly how much.
But it's
it costs.
over $3 billion.
Yeah, he's spun.
And it's probably going to be over $4 billion by the time they finish.
It's not.
And it may never get
He's
finished.
lying.
Unless
He's
I take
lying.
it over, I'll get it finished. But it can never be what it was. It's never going to have those beautiful ceilings.
Aw,
It's never
come
going to
on,
have those
Gal.
incredible walls.
I'm just kidding.
The walls were 1.5 feet thick of
Oh my
solid
God.
masonry. They ripped them down for no reason. And I just gave you the story. And just to finish on this one, so I told that story to somebody and said, yeah, but it's not the same thing. I said, you're right. This one is better. It writes. So the guy said to me, you don't have to pay me, sir. I'll give them to you for nothing. I said, no, I don't want that. Let me pay you. I want to pay you. No, sir, you don't have to. You're the President of the United States. He was shocked. The head of Sharpie gets a call. I don't even know who the hell he is. He said, is this really the President? He said, no, you don't have to pay me, sir. This is such an honor. I said, no, I want to pay you. He said, what would you like to pay? I said, how about $5 a pen? I said, said, that's all right, whatever the hell we agreed to. Peanuts. As opposed to
Peanuts.
1,000. And these were $1,000 pens. And we were giving them out. Sometimes, you know, you were there for signings. I'd have 30, 40 people standing behind me. I'd give out 40 pens to people. Then somebody would say, could I have a couple extra? This way I go like this. Here, you want 5? Here, take 5. But the bottom line is, they're better pens. It's a business story. So for $5, could be 0, but for $5, I get a much better pen than for $1,000. And I can hand them out, and actually they become hot as a pistol, so what can I tell you? With that, could I give it to, please, a man who's done a great job at Treasury staff? Good luck, Scott.
Well, sir, as always, you're a tough act to follow, but that is very illustrated. Your economic leadership has made our military mission possible. Mr. President, national security, as you always say, is economic security. Your leadership has shown the American people that there is no prosperity without security. That our mighty military on one side, but the U.S. economic strength is fighting off this evil regime. The Iranians believe they are fighting a two-front war. It is the military war that our great warriors are prosecuting. But on the other side, they are trying to take control of the global economy through a choke point that we believe does not exist and that we will overcome. Your historic Operation Epic Fury seized a generational opportunity to demolish a regime that has coordinated over 4 decades of global terror and claimed thousands of American lives. Many people, especially the Democrats, underestimate the will of the American people for short-term volatility for 50 years of safety that we are going to have on the other side of this. And I believe energy prices will be lower, inflation will be lower before we had the appearance of security, which is not real security. Now, the American people and the world will have absolute security. Through your maximum pressure campaign, Treasury has worked to uncover all financial lifelines through the regime and cut them off. You gave that order last March. This was not something that happened overnight. This is something that has been contemplated for almost a year. They're finding that the Iranian financial system collapsed in December. We have systematically weakened Iran's ability to fund operations and procure weapons, and that required months of preparations. Threats to American national security have no place in the global economic system. The oil market is well supplied. We have taken actions to ensure oil supplies stranded at sea are made available to the global market. Your bold actions like the Development Finance Corporation's Maritime Reinsurance Program in conjunction with Central Command will soon provide shippers through the Gulf region with a level of security we have never seen before. Mr. President, we are starting to see more and more movement in and out of the Gulf today, and this is more than yesterday, and this is the beginning. I am confident that shipping traffic will continue to increase on a daily basis even before we secure the straits. Turning to the home front, the U.S. economy remains strong. We had a strong economy thanks to you. We are the best insulated in the world thanks to your energy efforts in Term 1 and Term 2. The U.S. is an energy superpower. American workers' purchasing power is finally being restored. The latest figures indicate robust real compensation increases. We are starting to see the working family tax cuts benefits bearing fruit this tax season. 44% of tax returns have claimed at least one of your signature policies: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. The average tax refund is up more than 10%. for working Americans. The economy you vitalized through your pro-growth policies is well positioned to withstand these temporary disruptions. The United States dollar has reasserted itself as a safe haven asset. The U.S. dollar has appreciated since the hostilities began because everyone knows, thanks to your efforts, the U.S. economy is the best position in the world and capital is flowing in. Efforts to reprioritize economic security are ensuring the United States remains secure, resilient, and prepared for the challenges ahead. As we approach the 250th anniversary, America will never be safer and more secure militarily and economically. Thank you.
I just want to ask you a question. Is this guy central casting? I'm looking at him. I'm in Treasury. He might not be so good for war. I don't know. No, I'm looking pretty good too. I'm looking at this guy. He's central casting. Even the glasses are perfect. Where do you get those glasses? I think I'm going to get glasses.
That's a good idea. Sorry. I like to listen to what these guys say because it actually helps me understand what's happening in the world. So forgive me. I know this is hard to listen to. I just maybe have become... I'm just trying to pick up on different words.
That's beautiful. Great job. That's.
As you can see, the Strait of Hormuz is not open. This is the strait. It ain't open. It ain't open. It ain't open. Look at all these ships waiting down over here. Yeah. Look at all these ships waiting over here. It ain't open, it ain't open, it ain't open, it ain't open. Nope.
No, he's done a great job. And you all
done a
have
great job.
proud of
He's
you
really
all.
panicking.
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Mr. President, are you going to go in for the uranium? Like, how do you secure Iran and...
Let's assume I was or I wasn't. Why would I ever answer a question?
Can you accomplish your
What
goals
kind of a
without it?
question? Am I going to go in for the... Oh, yeah, I'm going in. We're going in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. How could you possibly ask a question like that and expect an answer? I don't know. But I don't know. I think you're a friendly person, too. It's just such a ridiculous question.
Mr. President,
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's been a report that potentially the U.S. is looking at diverting some munitions, air defenses that were meant for Ukraine to the Middle East. Is there any accuracy to that? Is that something you're considering?
Well, I'd have to ask me, but we do that all the time. You know, we have tremendous amounts of ammunition. We have them in other countries, like in Germany and all over Europe. We have, you know, we're packed. And sometimes we take from one and we use for another. We helped Ukraine. Biden started, and he gave $350 billion away. Too much, way too much. And
that number is incorrect. First of all, it's closer to 200 billion. And actually, the money didn't go to Ukraine. The money went to American contractors who created new armaments for us while we sent older armaments over to Ukraine. So that's inaccurate, both from an amount standpoint as well as from a who got the benefit from the money standpoint, because it was American companies.
we sell it now to NATO. We sell it to NATO, and they probably give it to Ukraine. Mostly, I think they give it to Ukraine, but we get paid for everything that we give. We don't give anything anymore. That's a tough situation, that whole Ukraine situation. Very, very tough. We're working very hard on getting that one solved. It doesn't have any impact on us, virtually nothing. In fact,
wait, Mask says, hello. It's so good to see you, girl. It's good to see you.
if anything, I mean, we sell a lot of equipment for that unfortunate war. 25,000 people died last month. 25,000, so mostly soldiers. Some in the towns, but for the most part, soldiers. They're dying. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's a terrible situation, and hopefully that's going to get settled. You know, I settled 8 wars, and many of them I think were more difficult than this one. In theory, they were more difficult, but there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. Tremendous hatred. I've seen it before, but I've never seen it maybe to this extent.
Really? And you wouldn't
and
think that he invaded?
I think that's
Ukraine,
calming
so-
down a little bit, and I think we have
Is
a
it
chance of
calming
getting
down?
it done. But it doesn't affect us thousands of miles away. That's why when I heard the head of Germany say, "This is not our war," about Iran, I said, "Well, Ukraine's not our war. We helped, but Ukraine's not our war." I thought it was a very inappropriate statement to make, but he made it. You can't erase it. But he felt that way. I said, well, Ukraine's not our war. And it's not, but I would like to see all those young people stop being killed. I mean, they're being killed. It's like a slaughterhouse. What's happening there is horrible. 25,000 on average. Last 2 months ago, it was 31,000 people died in 1 month, Marco, right? I said, it's getting crazy. It's getting worse. Think of it, 31,000 soldiers, both Russian and Ukraine, died 2 months ago. 25,000 last month. And if I can solve that, it would be a great honor to do it. I wish it could have gone faster. I solved other ones in 1 day that have been going for 32 years. We stopped one that was starting. It was already started. India and Pakistan, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a very fine gentleman, said President Trump solved something that was going to cost 10 million lives. That was going to cost a lot of lives, 2 nuclear nations. And those were complicated, but we got them done quickly. This one is, it's a shame. And the only reason I'm doing it, frankly, is because I want to stop death. I want to stop the death from happening. I think I'm going to go with a man that I've missed, Brian. I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss you. He's been in a very strange location. I don't know. He's had a strange thing happen. But anyway, go ahead, Brian.
Well, good to see you too. Actually, good to see the entire cabinet here. Good to see you too. You talked about gas prices coming down.
Yeah.
Obviously, they will. But would you ever consider suspending the federal gas tax in order to kind of temporarily alleviate some?
Well, some people should do that. As an example, in California, every time prices go down, his prices go up because the gas tax is bigger than the tax itself, bigger than the product itself. It hasn't. I mean, we've thought about it, I guess, but honestly, when I did this, I knew it was going to be a little bit. We had the greatest economy ever. We had the greatest stock market in history. I said, we're going to take a little bit of a hit, a short-term hit. It's going to end up going much higher than it was, in my opinion. I
don't think. Did he tell us this was going to be a little bit of a hit? Is he going to tell us? Is he going to tell us what that is? Yeah, that was Tintin, and he's talking about the fact that Tintin is still stooping Marjorie Three Toes, and I think Brian probably has been in some kind of persona non grata kind of thing because Marjorie Three Toes was going hard after Dump, and she's stooping Brian Glenn from, I think he's at Real America's Voice now. But anyway, yeah, you told this story already.
I said we're going to have a great stock market. Nobody thought we could get to 50,000 or 7,000 in the respective indices. Nobody thought that was going to happen, but it did in the first year. They said it couldn't happen in 4 years, that you wouldn't hit 50 in 4 years, but you could maybe get close. We hit it in the first year. And I said, this is a good time to solve a problem that you had to solve. And that's what I did. But the gas tax, people have talked about it. It's something we have in our pocket if we think it's necessary.
And if I can follow real quickly, you just recently took off, Secretary Duffy, 17,000 truckers off the road that quite frankly could not speak English, which is a safety issue.
Yeah.
Could we ever extend that to Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, cab drivers, for someone who takes a lot of Ubers? A lot of my drivers can't speak English.
Well, that's not good. I didn't like that. Go ahead, John.
So that's a really good point. The problem is that our states are the ones that issue these licenses. So with commercial driver's licenses, we do have some federal control. But again, we have thousands of people who can't speak the language, long-standing rule, and it's a safety issue, right? If you can't understand road signs, if you can't communicate with law enforcement when you're pulled over and communicate what's on your rig, huge problem. But the last administration, Mr. President, they let truck driving schools self-certify that they were qualified to train truck drivers. And so this is like the Leering Center. So you pay $800 and you get a certificate that you passed a CDL driving school. And again, they have no skills. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the skills. They haven't gone through any of the testing. And then they get licenses, and they're killing Americans on our roads. So it's remarkable, the rot that the last administration allowed to take place. We are ending that, and I need partnership with our states. Even California started to come on board. Even Gavin has started to play ball with us, which is surprising.
Shocking.
Not all the way, a little bit of ball.
Mr. President,
You know, it's interesting because I just saw something that the nursing home business and the daycare centers in particular, they went out and inspected them in Minnesota, and they didn't exist. They're knocking on the door. He happens to be a young man, Nick, nice young man. He's done a very good job. They're knocking on doors. It's like homes. And they're getting hundreds of thousands of that. They didn't exist. And in California, it's worse. It's even worse. And I spoke with Russell Vogt. I said, Russell, don't send them any money. He said, but we have a court order that we have to. Can you believe it? A judge. The judges are really hurting this country. Our judges, Justice Roberts doesn't like when I say it, but the judges are really hurting this country. And frankly, the justices, the Supreme Court, has really hurt our country too.
Mr. President, do you have a new deadline, given that there are some talks now? Do you have a new deadline before taking?
Well, he's not wrong about that.
I mean, right
I
now,
know. I'm
you're
sorry,
talking about a deadline for
Stephanie.
doing
It's
some pretty
bad.
big damage, even bigger than we've done. We'll see. Well, look, we have very substantial talks going on with respect to Iran, with the right people. You know, I told you about a present, right? Steve, can I reveal the present?
You can do anything you want.
Thank you. They said to show you the fact that we're real and solid and we're there, we're going to let you have 8 boats of oil, 8 boats, 8 big boats of oil. This was 2 days ago. And they'll sail up tomorrow. That was 3 days ago. And I didn't think much about it. And then I watched the news and they said, a very good anchor, actually. Happened to be Fox. But I watched it, and he said, something's unusual happening. There are 8 boats that are going right up the middle of the Hormuz Strait. 8 big tankers are going loaded up with oil right through. And I said, well, I guess they were right, and they were real. And I think they were Pakistani flagged.
Yes.
And I said, well, I guess we're dealing with the right people. And actually, they then apologized for something they said, and they said, we're going to send 2 more boats. And it ended up being 10 boats. All right, I hope I haven't screwed up your negotiations, but I thought it was appropriate to say, because I did taunt you the other day by saying they're going to give us a present.
There were 2 illegal immigrants who were arrested at San Francisco airport for ignoring deportation.
2 illegal immigrants, a mother and daughter. Burn in hell, cunt.
Orders at the same time as
Burn in
highlighted
hell, you stupid
really great
cunt.
reception from American travelers for ICE agents. Is there a PR aspect of this that can allow future deportations to go on with less protesting, less outrage?
Yeah, it's amazing, because by putting ICE there, look, the press was very unfair to ICE. So was everyone else. These are great American patriots. They have a tough job. They have to find murderers and take them out of our country. I wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to do it. Most people wouldn't want to do it. They do it. And, 11,888 murderers. And that's murderers. That's not drug dealers. That's not lots of other things. It's not people for mental...
You've had a year. Have you not gotten those 11,888 people out? Okay? What's taking so fucking long? If you can't find 11,888 people, what the fuck are you doing? What have you been doing for this last year?
Institutions. Entire jail populations were released from major countries. and let into our country through the
That's
open
a lie.
border. And ICE has done an amazing job. I wouldn't want that job. It's a tough job, dangerous job. But so what happens is by putting them at the airport, and I just said, do me a favor, take off your masks. And they did. For that, not for when they're looking for some, cold-blooded killers and they're in the net, but for that. And they did. They took them off. And the passengers, I see the interviews of people, they're saying, these are nice people. One person said, he's a very strong man, but he's a nice guy. He grabbed my bag. He helped a woman with a bag that she couldn't lift. And I'll tell you, I don't want to use the word rehab because there was nothing to rehab, but rehab from the press, because the press is so tough on him. And these crooks in Minnesota, these crooked politicians and dirty cops. They're dirty cops, they're dirty politicians. Waltz is a dirty, crooked politician. The Attorney General is a crooked guy. No investigations, and I hope JD's going to do a great job. He's in charge of it now with somebody who's very talented. But I think it's easy stuff. They say $19 billion.
Okay, I remember the first fucking press conference they had about the fraud in Minnesota, okay? At that press conference, it was admitted that they were looking at about $8 billion or $9 billion worth of payments, but that was the total amount, not the fraud amount. And now, just like everything else, it has grown into $19 billion as the total amount of fraud. That is simply not going to be true, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now because the idiots who came out with this first couldn't even tell you where the fraud was. And I have a feeling that they still don't know where the fraud is because they haven't cooperated with Tim Walz and whoever, I can't remember the name of the guy who's the Attorney General. Sorry, Keith Ellison. They haven't cooperated with them because that stuff has been under investigation and it's all a bunch of separate suits, separate investigations, because it's not just one crime syndicate, okay? It's a bunch of fucking criminals. And they've been looking into it and getting at it. And like 90 people have been indicted over the last few years. And furthermore, for you chuds, fucking Ilhan Omar has been speaking out against this since the jump. She has been denouncing the fraud in Minnesota and being very vocal about it. Yeah, I'm glad that nothing is happening important in the world and that these people can sit around and listen to this. Yeah, exactly. That they don't have jobs to do. Oh, wait, are you talking about me? Oh, damn.
Think of it. It's missing. $19 billion.
It's not
missing.
If
we would solve half.
It's not $19 billion. It's not missing. None of that is true.
Half of the fraud problem, Pam.
Yeah, no,
in this
he's going to
country,
go
we'd
to
have
the Somalis.
More than a balanced budget.
Whatever.
We'd have a surplus.
No, you
and
wouldn't.
In the case of Minnesota, it's a lot. It's very Somalia oriented. Think of it. These people come from a crooked country, disgusting country, one of the worst countries in the world.
What the fuck? Can't say shit like that. It's so fucking awful.
Acknowledge
I need this blood clot to travel up to the brain. Come on, blood clot. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. Right on fucking national television.
One of the worst countries in the world. Some people say it's the worst.
It's not.
They have no money, they have nothing.
Oh my God.
They come to our country.
They.
Low IQs. And they rob us blind.
He just called an entire group of people stupid. I just don't even understand how you people put up with this. And he raped children! Ah! Why are you all so stupid?
Stupid people. And they rob us blind. Because we have crooked politicians. And we have dirty cops. The Attorney General's a dirty cop. It's my opinion. It's only my opinion. And something should be done about him. Let's see what kind of job he can do.
What the fuck? Something should be done about him? What the fuck was that? It sure is, Meowing Star. Anything that was a veil, anything that was the slightest veil of whatever is just evaporated. It's just evaporated. Yes, Pam Bondi is a dirty cop. It's true. I agree with that. What the fuck? What the fuck? No, now they're the criminals, Josh. They might have been exploited, but now they're the criminals. Yeah. It's just writing off entire groups of Americans. Yeah.
You said that you hate mail-in ballots.
Excuse me?
Should Iran be able to charge a toll for the Strait of Hormuz? They're charging some vessels to go through.
Oh, yeah. Well, should they be able to? I mean, they shouldn't be able to, but they're doing it a little bit. I don't look. Their capability is a lot less than it was 2 weeks ago, and with every week and every day, frankly, it gets less and less. All I can tell you is they're begging.
All I'm going to say is that I'm going to go back to the beginning and say we've decimated 90% of their Navy. Oh, wait, all of their Navy, some of their land. I don't even know. Missile defense, I'm not sure.
To make a deal. So let's see what happens. We may make a deal. Tell me about mail-in ballots. Go ahead. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections that took place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine taking.
But you were in Palm Beach, sir, the last few weekends.
That's right, and I decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there, because I had a lot of different things. But we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that, right? So
no, she's saying that you have been in Palm Beach a number of weekends during early voting. You definitely could have voted. Yeah, felons can't vote, but you could have voted. So you didn't, but you mailed it in because you're lazy. So what's good for him isn't good for you, folks. He's going to make it harder for you to mail in vote. Believe me, you're not going to be able to. You guys we're fucked. We are fucked. Just like he fucked children.
If you're away, we have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception. If you're on a business trip, we have an exception. If you're disabled, we have an exception. And if you're ill, if you're not feeling good, we have. So I was away, mostly in Washington, D.C.
You have to, the hoops you are going to have to jump through in order to be eligible for a mail-in ballot, if you even are able to register because you can prove your citizenship, Meemaw.
So I used a mail-in ballot, but I appreciate the question because I know it was so well-meaning. Yeah.
Mr. President, I actually just looked up the company that owns Sharpie, and they stock turned positive after you mentioned it.
By the way, they deserve it. It's a good product.
So you gave a 5-day deadline. With oil tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz, is that a condition to move that 5-day deadline?
Well, we don't want anything impeded. We want ships to go through. We don't know that they've dropped any mines, by the way, because we blew up all their mine droppers, right? We blew up every one of them. They're going to have to take them out on a rowboat or something. I don't know how the hell they get out there, but we don't really know. You might speak to it. We don't know. There could be a few of them out there, but that's a lot. If you have $1 billion ship and you get hit by a mine, it's not the greatest thing in the world. So if you think the problem with that's not like you've decimated a military. If you think there may be a mine, that's a bad thought, and it stops things up. How are we doing in that regard, Peter?
Mr. President, you're right. We have so heavily degraded their coastal defense capabilities and their naval capabilities that any strategic or operational attempts to do those types of things are extremely limited. And we continue to move over the top of that. Now, whether Iran makes a wise choice or not to try to execute that is part of how this deal comes together. But with every passing day, the military pressure that we're putting on them lessens their ability to really hold that militarily at issue.
I mean, the problem with the issue of the Hormuz Straits is this. We've decimated them as a military. No Air Force, no Navy, very few rockets left. We blew up so many. Hard to manufacture them. Same thing with drones. The leadership is gone. The problem with the Straits is this. Let's say we do a great job. We say we got 99%. 1% is unacceptable because 1% is a missile going into the hull of a ship that cost $1 billion, right? So 1% is we can't. If we do a 99% decimation, that's no good.
So how is your coalition then?
So it's really, a little bit. But I have a feeling it's going to clean up pretty quickly.
How close are you to
I could just say this: they want to make, and I probably hurt our little negotiation. It gives them a little impetus to say, well, I wish you didn't say that. But they said yesterday that we weren't negotiating with them, and now they admit that we were negotiating with them. So they want to make a deal. The reason they want to make a deal is they have been just beat to shit.
So the
Are you thinking of taking control of Iran's oil?
It's an option. I mean, I wouldn't talk about it, but it's an option.
Is that something you thought about?
Well, in Venezuela, we've done very well working with Venezuela, certainly. And we've taken in billions and billions of dollars. And by the way, Venezuela is doing better right now than they've ever done in the history of their country. And it's sort of like a joint venture. But the United States has made a lot of money, Marco, right? With it. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
About Venezuela?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Venezuela in the first 2 months of this year generated more revenue from oil sales than they had in most of all of last year. But the money's not being stolen anymore. And it's being held in a U.S. Treasury blocked account. And to the extent it's flowing to the Venezuelan government, it's going to help people, like fund hospitals, pay teachers. It's not
And we
being
get a
stolen.
lot of it. And they got more than they have in many years. Think of it. We get a lot of it.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Beat to shit. Yeah, I know. Whoa. Whoa. Did he just admit that we've taken some of the money? Did he just admit that? What? Are you fucking kidding me? We stole money from Venezuela? What? Because I thought we had to I thought we had to give them all the money. What money have we made? What? Wait a minute. Oh my God. I hate it when days like this happen where we get so derailed by nonsense. I'm so sorry, but at the same time, what? Okay, this is from February 13th, CNBC. Venezuela oil sales top $1 billion. Funds won't go to Qatar account anymore, Energy Secretary says. I hadn't read this. The Trump administration deposited the initial $500 million of Venezuela oil sales in a U.S.-controlled account in Qatar. That happened. A U.S. Treasury Department account, the Exim Bank, has been set up, and the funds won't go to Qatar anymore, Energy Secretary Chris Wright, and it now tops $1 billion. There's Chris Wright, looking like the fucking dipshit that he is. Venezuela oil revenue will no longer be deposited in an account in Qatar. An account was set up in Qatar, controlled by the U.S. government the whole time, to land that money in and then send the money from there down to Venezuela. Okay. Now we have an account at the U.S. Treasury. The money won't go to Qatar anymore. The Trump administration has taken control of Venezuela's oil sales after capturing Maduro in a military raid. Venezuela from Venezuelan oil sales now tops $1 billion. The U.S. has short-term agreements to sell another $5 billion of the country's crude over the next few months, he said. The oil has gone to U.S. refineries and Europe so far. They deposited the initial $500 million of oil in Qatar before transferring the funds back to Venezuela. An independent audit. Yeah, okay. Chuck's doing a whole bunch of nothing, as usual. Wright said they deposited the money in Qatar first because the funds face risk of Venezuela's creditors attempting to claim them. Interesting. Caracas faces but then why did we? Okay, I'm okay. That's not clear, but okay. Caracas faces tens of billions of dollars in outstanding claims from defaulting on its sovereign debt and nationalizing the assets of oil companies like ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. Since Venezuela has so many creditors and they owe a lot of money, we had some risk if we put it into a U.S. bank account set up quickly that creditors could freeze that money, Wright said. We want those creditors ultimately to get their money back, but that money urgently needs to go to Venezuela, but not all of it, apparently. The U.S. faces the added complication that it does not officially recognize the government led by Rodriguez. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on January 28 that Washington must find a way to resolve the issue of government recognition for the funds to be deposited in the U.S. You have to recognize a government, but we don't recognize this government. We recognize the 2015 National Assembly, so we have to find some creative way legally to meet that standard. Wow, this all sounds very terrible. Venezuelan oil revenue deposited in the U.S. should, in theory, be under the control of opposition National Assembly due to Trump's recognition, said Scott Anderson, an international law expert who previously served with the State Department and the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad under Obama. This raises the question of which government the U.S. will ultimately recognize and when. Okay, I really need to know why we're keeping some of the money. I'm going to go try and find that.
We have a deal. We get a lot of it. We had 100 million, think of this, 100 million barrels we took in the first 2 weeks. 100 million barrels. That's a lot of oil. It's a lot of ships. And we got some, and they got some. We paid for the ships. A lot of money left over. And Venezuela has done better now with us. Call it a partner, call it whatever you want. We've made a lot of money, and they've made a lot of money. We've paid for the cost of that military hit many, many times over. And we've only just started. Our relationship with Venezuela has been amazing. The people, actually, I'm the highest polling person. And in other words, after the presidency, I think I may go to Venezuela and run for president against Elsie. I may run against Elsie. It's an option. No, they like me in Venezuela, but it's an option for me. It's a wonderful option. Yes.
There's some reports that Gulf allies are concerned about winding down the war too soon and potentially leaving Iran.
Well, they'd probably like us to stay, but
the concern.
If we don't stay, look, it's a beautiful thing about airplanes that go 2,000 miles an hour. You can get back there very quickly. If we don't stay, we're going to be protecting them. We know, they've been very good. Hey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, in particular, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, the three of them, Kuwait, Bahrain.
Hey, everybody, I can't find a bloody story about what money of Venezuelan oil sales is benefiting the United States. I cannot find one story. Now, granted, that's just me and my algorithm, my search optimization, but I'm telling you, this is odd. It is odd to me that it doesn't come up with a story about what portion of the money is actually benefiting the United States. I am really confused. I don't know. This is very odd.
They've been 100%. Now, in all fairness, they could have gone the other way.
That seems like breaking news. But I can't find anything documented about it so far. Yes, BRB bathroom. Hello. The whole administration is a parody of a real one. They keep doing the opposite. Well, and you know what? Here's my barometer. Okay, this is what my barometer is for this administration. If Jamie Dimon is happy or not sad, then it's bad for us. If Jamie Dimon gets upset, then I think we're moving in the right direction. But if Jamie Dimon is like, this is great, and he did. He said that the other day when the war started. He was like, this is great. The market's hardly factoring this into it. When Jamie Dimon is happy, worry. When Jamie Dimon is upset, that's when we're doing good. So you're right. This is idiocracy, and we're steeped in the middle of it.
They were surprisingly missiled. They were shot at. Nobody ever thought they'd be shot at. UAE had 1,400 missiles aimed at them. Fortunately, they had the greatest anti-missile weapon in history called the Patriot. Almost every single missile was shot down. We had an incident recently where 101 missiles were shot at a certain thing that we own. It's very valuable. 101 missiles going 2,000 miles an hour. Out of the 101 missiles, every single one of them was shot down in midair and fell into the ocean. It's amazing technology. There's nobody has equipment like we have.
Is it even possible that Iran still has that enriched uranium? Is it even possible?
Well,
to
you're
wipe
going
down?
to have to see, but, I think we're in just very good shape. We're roaming, you know what we're doing? You know the word roaming free? We're over their skies with the most beautiful planes you've ever seen. Roaming free, there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
Did we have an F-18 shot down or an F-35? Was that a true story? I think it was an F-18 was a story from the other day. Did that end up being a true story or not a true story? Does anybody know?
It'd be nice if, like the fake news New York Times, which writes so fake, and the Wall Street Journal is terrible, terrible. I mean, I read a story today that I'm desperate to make a deal. If I was desperate, he'd be the first to know. Pete, let's get the hell out of there. I'm the opposite of desperate. I don't care. I want to know. In fact, we have other targets we want to hit before we leave. We're hitting them on a daily basis.
I thought there was one, though, shot down. I know. Oh, that was friendly fire as well. I know the 3 F-35 or F-18s, but I thought that there was another report just yesterday or the day before of a fighter jet being shot down. But I could be wrong, and it could have been misinformation. So if no one else heard that, then it probably was just me. Yeah.
I don't talk about you. I can't talk about specifics. A lot of people say that wouldn't matter. Maybe it does matter. Who knows? But I wouldn't talk. It's like the question this young lady asked. Sorry about I embarrassed her. I don't want to embarrass you because I think I think she's a friendly reporter, so I'm sorry. But I can't say what we're going to do because if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here for long. They'd probably, what is it called? The 25th Amendment? They'd institute the 20th.
Oh! Somebody said it out loud. Yeah.
Which they didn't do with Biden, which is shocking.
The hardest part is really safe enough to leave the region because Steve said that they've got enough uranium to make 11 bombs. That's a very scary thing. So,
well, it's again, I can't talk to you about that. Okay. You're asking me a question. You're essentially saying, will I go in and do something? I can't talk to you about that.
Mr. President, you're looking at a coalition of ships to help, warships to help protect tankers. How close are you to getting that coalition?
Well, we have a coalition for them, but they should have been up here a long time ago. And they're affected. The amazing thing is we don't need the Hormuz Strait. We don't need it. We don't need it at all. We have so much oil. Our country is not affected by this. We have twice the amount of oil as Saudi Arabia
the US said that
or
it
Russia.
didn't happen,
And soon it'll be 3 times the amount. Chris, do you want to
Badger.
speak to that for a second?
Yeah, that's correct. Our total oil production is greater than Saudi Arabia's plus Russia, and more than we consume in the United States. So we're the largest.
Why are we doing this?
You know what they call it? Drill, baby, drill. Yes.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
Anything
why
else you want to say?
Venezuela's then.
Well, it's same thing for natural gas. We went, before your first term, we were the largest exporter of natural gas in the world. Today, we're just by far the largest. I mean, we're the
There's Day Drunk Lori. There's Day Drunk Lori. She's next. Okay, she drinks on the job. This girl here. Sorry. She drinks on the job and she's fucking her security staff. And she just had a bunch of people that got fired because they were threatening. Her chief of staff people were intimidating the rest of the staff at the labor department. So DOL, this girl, she's like, I'm the jobs one, not the farm one. Okay, because the farm one is the other brunette. Anyway, she's gone because she's drunk all the time. Yeah, Lori's day drunk. She's in trouble. She's in trouble. You're gone, bitch. You're fucking your security guard in the break room, you stupid cuck. That's what you get for supporting a rapist.
largest importer. Now we're by far the largest exporter, and it's growing rapidly this year. New facilities are coming online, new production's ramping up.
We're doing an amazing job. We're getting a lot of help from that man right over there. He's getting approvals done quickly and very environmental. He's an environmentalist, actually. He does a great job, but he gives you a fast approval or rejection.
No, don't you talk about Chris Wright being an environmentalist. He's a motherfucking asshole. Chris Wright, another one I need to put in Nuremberg. because the way he's slashing regulations and the fact that he's going to, I'm having a day beer. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just saying. You're not the labor secretary, okay, Josh? Come on now. Anyway, the point is, in and out and in and out. Her husband was, and thank you, Teresa. And day drunk Lori's husband was also banned from the workplace because he gets handsy with the rest of the staff. You can't make this shit up. There's a bunch of sexual deviants in this administration. No, that's probably why she likes him. But anyway, yeah. So that's right. Yeah.
Do you have anything to say?
Well, back on Venezuela, where Chris and I both had a chance to be there, I literally think they're going to put a statue to President Trump, and I'm not it's not a political statement, it's an actual thing.
So. That would be a great honor.
No, because it's like they view President Trump like Simon Bowler. He's the liberator of a country, and this is a country where they love American baseball. You look on the street,
Josh.
they're wearing NBA jerseys, and Delcy and her team working with us, getting back. Chris and I both experienced it was the first time in Venezuelan history that they had the free press allowed to come on to essentially where the White House, the Palacio Miraflores, and it was an emotional thing for people that had been for 20 years had never had a chance to be there. So whether it's and then production, it's showing up in production. The American companies that are coming back, most of those American companies have many American Venezuelan team members. One company in Houston's got 600 Venezuelan.
Wait. Oh, so we're giving Venezuelans jobs? Is that what we're doing? We're making Venezuela great again. We're increasing I know it is hard. So we're increasing Venezuela's employment numbers while ours go down. Okay. All right. Is that make America great again? Is that America first? Or is it like South America first? Yeah, right. The market manipulation market tweeter. Yep, that's him. That fucking asshole.
Americans that know more about reviving that industry. So their GDP is 1/4 of what it was before. They want to get back. They remember what it was. Their production on oil production is climbing towards 50% increase just in the 3 months we've been here. That flows to American refineries on the Gulf Coast, lowering the price of gas in America. So
forget that. When are they going to do the statue? The hell with you.
Thank you. You've been really honest about how disappointed you are in Sir Keir Starmer, particularly in relation to Iran. So I'm curious about your phone calls with him, how easy they might be. And also, were you surprised by...
Are we talking about Starmer?
Yes. And are you surprised by how weak...
I think he's a lovely man. I do. I think he's a lovely man. But I think he did something that was shocking. He didn't want to help us. And maybe in particular that country, we were the longest bond, the longest ally. Australia too. Australia was not great. I was a little surprised by Australia.
Arm spasm.
I wouldn't say anybody was great, other than the 5 countries in the Middle East. We never really had very much support. We spend trillions of dollars supporting countries, and this is Little League. This isn't the big league deal. This is sort of Little League pool for us. We decimated them in a period of a week. In the first week, it was over. In the first few days, it was over. I think the Navy took us 3 days to essentially annihilate that. They weren't there. So if there's ever a big one, which I hope there's not, but if there's ever a big one, I don't think they're going to be there. And that's not fair. And we have to remember that as a country.
Wow. Wow. Let me quadruply down on shitting on our allies. Holy shit.
Because we spend trillions of dollars protecting Europe, protecting the countries of NATO. They weren't there for us. For small time. This is small time. You know what? Venezuela is a big deal, but it's not the big one. They weren't there. So what makes you think they'd be there if we needed them for something?
That'd be known as Article 5. And so we know exactly when they'd be there for us. And they're not going to be there for us when it's a war of our choosing. And we didn't consult with them prior to executing on this war. So no, in big boy speak and big girl speak, they are not going to help us with a war that we chose to get into, that they don't agree to, and that they actually weren't consulted on. Ron Vara is running his mouth about new tariffs. Oh no! 2 new Section 301 investigations being expedited to have new tariffs ready in July when Section 122 expires. Good times ahead. Jesus Christ, Lee. They're never going to stop. Yeah, the idiot doesn't know what NATO is. You're right. You're absolutely right. I can't believe it. Yeah, I can't believe they wouldn't want to be involved in an illegal war of war crimes. Yeah. It's a concertina, not an accordion. I'll find one, Josh. Don't worry. I'll find one.
And your prime minister was not there, as you know.
Yeah, did he
He was there after we won. He said, we'd like to send some ships. I said, we already won. We don't need them anymore.
But can you explain why he was reluctant to help?
Why you what?
Why he was reluctant to help with Iran?
He didn't have to. I didn't ask him. I just said, just tell me, no. I mean, we're always going to be there, or at least we were. I don't know about anymore, to be honest with you. I would have to be honest. We were always there when they needed help. We always would have been there when they needed help. I mean, think of it. We're there to protect Europe from Russia. In theory, it doesn't affect us. We have an ocean, big, fat, beautiful ocean. But we're there to protect NATO, to protect them from Russia. But they're not there to protect us. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. I tell you, a lot of people were big NATO people. I was never big. I was okay. I got them to pay 5%. By the way, they haven't paid it yet. You know that. You know, I got them to pay 5% from 2% to 5%. They didn't pay it yet. I got them to pay up to 2% because they weren't paying the 2%. Then I got them to pay 5%, which they should be at. And we had a lot of, oh, that was great, great. Oh, only Trump could do it. But the problem is they haven't paid. Because if you look at the numbers, they haven't paid yet. So we were there for them. But they were not there for us. Did we need them? No. I never thought we needed them. I was more doing a test. I said, I really would love to have you come up. Bring your boats. You can sail through the beautiful Hormuz Straits, and you can protect people that are being shot at. They didn't do it. And that's small potatoes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, does it affect the state visit with the King that you're going to have in April? Are you looking forward to that?
With the King?
With the King
No.
coming here?
No. He's a friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. As you know, he honored me and our country. He really honored our country. But we had an amazing time. I've known him as Prince Charles. I know him as King Charles. I'm proud of him. He's fighting a tough battle. He's tough. I think he's a fantastic. It has nothing to do with that. It's different. But he's going to be here very soon, as you know. We're going to have a state dinner. It's going to be great. But I was very disappointed when the Prime Minister said, I won't be able to. It started with the island that the indigenous have claimed away from your country. And for some reason, you went for it. And all of a sudden, indigenous people that never saw the place, they never saw it. He was afraid that we would do something to insult, because he's a liberal. That's the way they think. And when we needed the island to land that beautiful B-2 bomber, we were told we can't use it. We'd have to fly back to Missouri, which is a 17-hour flight, as opposed to a couple of hours. And I said, you gotta be kidding. Not good. They made a big mistake.
Mr. President, is the Friday deadline for Iran, is that pushed back now, and if not?
I don't know yet. I don't know. Mr. Witkoff and JD and Jared will tell me whether or not they think it's going along. And if it's not going along, maybe not. And we have a lot of time. You know what? It's a day. In Trump time, a day, you know what it is? That's an eternity. Say it, what?
European Parliament just passed a major deportation plan. Some of the tenets of it are that member states can deport rejected asylum seekers to third countries regardless of whether they have a connection to it. It allows for detention periods of up to 2 years and also offshore return hubs or detention centers similar to ours.
Who did this? Which country?
European Parliament, and the vote was not close. It was 389 in
Good.
favor to 208 against.
I'd vote with them, yeah.
Europe is where you are now. Do you think that will move the needle with Democrats?
I don't care about the Democrats. The Democrats hate our country. The Democrats are in chaos right now, and they have no common sense. You know, they have one quality that's amazing. They stick together. And it's harder because they stick together in a ridiculous policy like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, including murderers and anybody else that want it. We're open to you. Come in, murderers. You know why they do that? They do that for a couple of reasons, but they do it for votes because they think they're going to vote for the Democrats. Even though I did great with the Hispanic vote, tremendous with the Hispanic vote. You know, I turned that whole thing around. The Hispanics like me and I like them. And you know, it's interesting with the Hispanics. When I built the wall, everybody said, oh, that's going to ruin us for the Hispanic. It was just the opposite. They know all about immigration and they know all about death and crime, and they're smart people and they have common sense. They wanted to be protected from the people that were coming into our country. So, you know, I won the election with a very tremendous Hispanic vote, and I think it's higher now than it was then. So, we're a party of common sense. The Democrats are a party of insanity. They're a party that will destroy our country. If I didn't win this election, I believe our country would have been destroyed by now. 1 year, that's all it would have taken. If you had Kamala or Sleepy Joe, either one, it wouldn't have mattered. They're the same thing. Two sleepy people, two stupid people. I believe, and by the way, Gavin Newsom, who is one of the candidates, I believe he took himself out of the running when he says he suffers from mental disability. And a reporter said it was terrible that I talked that way about somebody with mental disability. I said, I have no problem with it, but I don't want a person with mental disability to be my president. I mean,
he just said he didn't want a person with mental disability to be president. Does he not understand what the state of his mental system is at the moment? Oh, I hope everything goes well, Jim. I'm sure it'll be fine. I hope she's home safe. That'd be nice. Yeah, Grandpa. Grandpa, you are the calls coming from inside the house, Gramps. You're the one that has a decayed mental sense. I mean, not that you ever had one to begin with, but it's just getting worse with time. Good morning, Esmeralda. Hello. I know, what a clown show. I think it's almost over, but I don't know that.
you don't want to have a person with mental disability being your president. And Gavin Newsom said that he can't read a speech. He can't do almost anything. And then he said he's as dumb as all the people in the room. And he got accused of being a racist, which was an amazing thing. I thought it was the worst interview I've ever seen anybody give. He's actually a very stupid person. So I believe he's out of the running. I think that that statement, that interview...
Also, and he did this before when he talked about this story about, I guess Gavin must have said something about being dyslexic. He's claiming that dyslexia makes you stupid. He basically is an ableist, right? We know that. But he basically is insulting anyone who has any, learning challenge or whatever, learning difference, I guess is really the word to say. Any kind of learning differences, this man thinks you're stupid. That's what your president thinks of you. All your kids who have IEPs, the light of your eyes, right? He thinks your kids are stupid. And they'll really never amount to anything. That's what he said. And he said it twice now in public. Good job, everybody. He just called, if you have a child with an IEP, he would definitely call you stupid. Yeah, a billionaire in power punching down? Say it ain't so. I mean, even just punching to the side, like where I don't know what it's not even it's a difference in learning style. That's all it is. It's a difference in learning style. It doesn't make you better, worse, or anything. It probably makes it challenging to learn in this world where different learning styles are not accommodated for. So yeah, it probably is difficult to learn in this world where we don't accommodate learning differences. So that's probably true. That's not what he means. He means you're stupid. I'm sorry, he said it. I didn't. I have worked with children who have IEPs, and I have done a lot of innovative things to help them get to the points they want to get to. So I don't know.
He admitted that he's a stupid person. I don't want a stupid person being president. I'll say it right now. I say it because no press never reports it. I'm the only president that ever took a cognitive test. I took it 3 times. It's actually a very hard test for a lot of people. It wasn't hard for me, but it's a cognitive test. It starts off with an easy question, and by the time you get to the middle, it gets tougher. By the time you get to the end, very few people can answer those questions. They get very tough, mathematical equations and things. I took it 3 times. I aced it all 3 times in front of numerous doctors that I have no idea who they are. And I was told when I went in, they said, Doc Ronnie told me this. My current doctors were fantastic doctors. They said, well, if you take it, it's Walter Reed. It's essentially a public hospital. And if you do badly, it's probably going to get out. But I aced it. I got them all right. And one doctor said, I've never seen anybody get them all right. I've been doing the test for 20 years. I want people, I would love to see anybody that's a president or a vice president or anybody that has any chance of being a president, I would like to see them take a cognitive test. Because we had a man in this office.
I would like to see the results of your cognitive tests, sir. That's what I would like to see. I would love to see that.
That had no clue what was happening. And let me give you a little secret. He wasn't a smart man 30 years ago.
I'll bet they cognitive tested Reagan once in a minute.
And I'll tell you about President Obama. He wasn't a smart man either. I know all about him. He wasn't a smart man. Highly overrated. He was a great divider. And our country can't go through that anymore. Can't go through. We have done an amazing job. I had to do a little stopover. I call it an excursion. I had to do a little stopover in Iran, and we had to knock the hell out.
He basically said that he took an excursion, and now 13 families, at least, that we know of in the United States, at least, never mind the casualties of all the people that we've dropped bombs on, but for his excursion, 13 Americans have given their lives. That's young people dead because he took an excursion. Bibi Netanyahu and MBS put the screws on this guy and said, this is what you're going to do. This man is compromised. He has raped children. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. And he certainly doesn't care about the 13 service members who are dead.
Because our country would not have been safe. The world wouldn't have been safe. I've done a great favor.
Now. We aren't safe now because of you. Every single thing has been self-inflicted. Every single thing.
For the world has not been reciprocal, because when I told NATO, where we give billions and billions of dollars, trillions over the years, I said, do you mind coming up and giving us a little hand with the streets? Send up some. They didn't want to get involved. And I believe that's going to cost them dearly. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Our national nightmare for this morning is over. Wow. Yeah. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yuppie, 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 yuppie. That's right. Wow, I don't even know where to go from there. There's a bunch of places I could go. I'm just looking to see if there's something that is jumping out at me that these are all kind of old. I made myself some notes last night because I was thinking about, let me get rid of that guy and let me get rid of Pig's Breath here. Hold on. Let me get rid of the Drunky McDrunkerson. The only person who's not more fun at a party drunk. This guy. Where are you? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, wait, there we go. Heck, Seth. Bye. Yeah, about fucking time. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm sorry. And those are rough. I get it. I get it. Those are very rough. But this is my kink. My kink is that I need to hear what he's saying in order to understand what actually then happens after he says it. Here's my notebook. Oh. Ow. I gotta pick up my notebook. Because I made some notes last night. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep repeating this stuff because it really is what I'm trying to like synthesize in my head what is happening. I guess, I don't know. I don't know if it's hurtful, harmful, helpful. I have no idea, but it helps me, and that's why I do this show. So hopefully it helps some other people too. But so I just wanted to kind of run through what my brain space. I literally made some notes last night as I was just thinking. Because I did that thing like little bits with Lolo, the little bits that I did. It wasn't great because I have to fix the sound and all this kind of stuff. And I probably should edit them, but I'm a terrible editor and all that kind of stuff. But I want to start doing these smaller, distinct video pieces that for me help synthesize, again, kind of all the information that we hear, right? Because there's so much happening on different fronts. And I think, it is just so very clear to me that this is a building a world of no accountability, right? The Epstein stuff, for example. No accountability. It's no taxes, right? Which is already well on its way, with no impediment to building and creating things that can harm the environment or harm people, but still make you money. And those are shared visions that really everybody who's a stakeholder in democracy or the lack of democracy, everyone who's a stakeholder in that has those shared visions, right? And then you've got these groups, and then you've got groups like the evangelical Christians. We've got the you've got the anti-war people. You've got all these little weird factions. You've got the tech bros. You've got you've got the oil and gas people. You've got you've got all these different groups that over time, and I believe through primarily the institutes of mass destruction, as Gal Suburban likes to describe them, like the CNP, like the Gold Institute, like the Heritage Foundation, like the Federalist Society, like all of these different individual groups then become centers of discussion and where shared ideas and shared tactics, right, like getting rid of Schedule F or implementing Schedule F, whatever that is, where you're gutting the federal government, that ideas like that can be floated, and that's where kind of a strange little consensus is built amongst the people who have an interest in destroying democracy and achieving those goals that I just talked about for their own group. And in the middle of it are people like the evangelical Christians who want to make sure that the Department of Education is destroyed so that they can fill that hole and sell their education as part of a voucher system or privatizing or whatever, right? So the Christians are happy about that. The Christians are delighted that you get the pro whatever, the anti-abortion, right? They love that. So they'll vote. They'll vote along with a fucking child rapist because that really got them to the finish line. They got a big fucking win when Roe came down. So while all these groups might not meet in a secret society, there are plenty of smaller secret societies that aren't so secret that have helped over time synthesize this insurgency, this movement. And you really have to ask yourself, because this is the question I constantly am asking myself as these world events unfold, and that is, where are the donors? Why aren't the donors speaking up if this is so bad, right? It's because this chaos, this taco, this obfuscation, this cover-up of the Epstein and the lack of DOJ investigation into any of the Epstein connections of anyone, frankly, or the slow walk or whatever it is that they think they're doing, that absolutely works for these people. They're silent because this works. Jamie Dimon went on TV, and in fact, I think I played a little bit of it last week when the war was beginning, and someone asked him, is Wall Street nervous about this? And he's like, nah, no, this is great. Because they're not worried. The chaos is fine. Because all of the shit of the lack of regulations, the lack of taxes, the lack of accountability, all of that is being dismantled and has been being dismantled week by week as we've watched the 119th Congress meet over and over and over again to codify all of the destruction that enables the things that I just talked about. No accountability, no regulation, no taxes. The SEC chair quit last week, an appointee by Trump, because they would not allow investigations of people close to the Trump family and others. And as we already discussed, the Trump brothers are absolutely engaged in market manipulation and other things that we should be concerned about, because Hunter Biden, we were so worried about where he was putting his dick that we're not even concerned at all about how much money the Trump boys are stealing from the U.S. taxpayers because they have inside access. And they're just the ones we can talk about. There's plenty of people, I'm sure, that are getting theirs. So I guess this is all to say that this is, there's just a lot. There's a lot. And there is there's a reason that people are not, Peter Thiel isn't saying fuck all about this. He's not upset. JD Vance isn't saying fuck all about this. It's because it works for them. This is fine. But I'm going to tell you, the economists, the people who aren't the Jamie Dimons but know the money part, they're not as happy. And they're pretty sure that things are going to get pretty bad. I was trying to pull up the one story. Oh, yeah, here we go. Stanford. We were on this. I want to read this before we wrap today. Or at least give you some ideas. It's probably too long to read, and probably too complicated for me to understand. But it's a Stanford piece on the U.S. economy and what to watch for in 2026. And so I thought, well, Stanford, they should know. If anybody should know, it's Stanford. All right, so this is the Stanford Institute for Economic Policy Research. The radical leftists at Stanford the B school in Stanford. Believe me, as someone who attended B school classes at Stanford, they are not radical leftists. I'm sorry. That's just not. That's a myth. The U.S. economy in 2026, what to watch for. Key takeaways. The U.S. economy has shown remarkable resilience in the face of policy uncertainty and AI's potential disruption. Interest rate decisions, national debt, tariffs, worries about a stock market bubble, and a low fire labor market are among the big economic issues that will take center stage in 2026. Affordability will continue to be a top concern for consumers. It's a strange time for the U.S. economy. Last year, overall economic growth came in at a solid pace, fueled by consumer spending, rising real wages, and a buoyant stock market. Wow. The underlying environment, however, was fraught with uncertainty, characterized by a new and sweeping tariff regime, a deteriorating budget trajectory, consumer anxiety around cost of living, and the concerns about an artificial intelligence bubble. Well, pretty much all those things are happening. Looking ahead to 2026, we anticipate that overall growth will continue apace, even as the job market has clearly slowed. What was the date on this? I don't even know what date this is. Let me see if it has the date on it. Oh, yeah, January 2026. Oh, these guys are you're way out of date. You're so behind. Maybe we shouldn't look at this. Let's read this. The Federal Reserve stagflation challenge. When it comes to the Fed's forthcoming interest rate decisions, which they kept them at the same level, okay? Because that's what you do, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you think that actually inflation's going to go up, which is what economists are saying after this war and everything, is that inflation will rise this year from its current levels, as will unemployment, right? Because that's already happening. We expect this year to be a continuation of the unusual tensions of late 2025. See, I told you they're not radical leftists. The Fed has a dual mandate to pursue stable prices and maximum employment. In normal times, these two objectives are roughly correlated. An overheated economy typically presents strong labor demand and upward inflationary pressures, prompting the Federal Open Market Committee to raise interest rates and cool the economy, vice versa, in a slack economic environment. But if the labor market continues to weaken and inflation remains above the Fed's 2% target as President Trump's tariffs trickle down to consumers, oh yeah, now a big war, the Fed's job in the coming year could become more complicated. It already is. The big concern is stagflation, a rare condition where inflation and unemployment both run high. Once it starts, stagflation can be hard to reverse. That's because aggressive moves in response to spiking inflation can drive up unemployment and stifle economic growth, while lowering rates to boost economic growth risks driving up prices. Right. It's more expensive to borrow money than people are going to raise their prices. Think about it. The stagflation risk is real. Towards the end of last year, the weakening job market said cut, while the tariff-induced price pressures said hold. In both speeches and votes on monetary policy, differences within the FOMC were on full display. 3 voting members dissented in mid-December, the most since 2019. But please keep in mind that one of those members was Stephen Moran, the author of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is why we're here when it comes to tariffs and extortion of other countries for their resources. Oh yeah, that's right. This is another reason the billionaires are happy, is because they're going to get access to all the minerals and shit that they need to build their vanity projects, okay? God, I'm not even smart about this stuff. I'm not even like an economist brain. I can't even do math. Most members clearly weighed the risk to the labor market more heavily than those of inflation, including Fed Chair Jerome Powell, though he did so chanting the mantra, there is no risk-free path for policy. Let me just see. Yeah. And another thing about Powell is that while they're trying to pursue this investigation, he said, I'm not leaving. So be prepared for that. The other piece that we need to know is that I believe this morning that they have failed to get Letitia James in New York. I think 3 times they've tried to indict Letitia James. Am I wrong about that? It is 420, Mr. Spock. You're so right. It's 3 times they've tried to get Letitia James, and now they're trying in Florida. And I'm sorry, but someone at some point has to say no, and this has to stop. I don't know who's going to say that, because the Supreme Court are a bunch of fucking Nazis who can't fucking hold anybody back because they're so scared of their own little secrets coming out, I guess. I don't even know. I remember a few years ago when they said John Roberts was trafficking children on Telegram. That used to be the story on Telegram, is that John Roberts had this really dirty little secret that he trafficked children from Europe or something like that. I don't even remember the details, but that was the big story on Telegram a few years ago. And now I'm beginning to wonder, does fucking John Roberts have shit in his past that he needs to hide? I don't know. Crazy shit happens in this world. Anyway, all right. Well, this has been a great show. What's a Telegram? I know. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. I stopped spending time on Telegram a long time ago. I think Tillis said he was going to hold up the nominees to replace Powell if they keep investigating. Good. I'm glad. Well, the judge already said that even the DOJ prosecutor, listen, folks, this week, this week is the DOJ lawyer in charge of prosecuting Jerome Powell, etc., admitted in court to a judge that they don't have evidence of wrongdoing. They don't have evidence of wrongdoing. The fucking lawyer who's bringing the case already said it. So that deal's done. Done, period, done. Janine Pirro Weinbachs can fucking scream all she wants. Her own prosecutor said, no, we don't have the evidence. It was a wild and yeah, we're going to need a bigger disbarment hearing, yeah. Yeah, we're going to have a much bigger courtroom for disbarments. Anyways, that's all to say. I'm sorry. This world is really fucking nuts. And we still don't have health care. And people in Kansas who are trans don't have their identification. Okay, literally the government has taken away the identification papers of trans people just because they're trans. And that I don't ever want us to forget, because that to me is one of the most glaring examples of the fascism and the Nazism of this regime and what they have done and what they have allowed to take root. And we've got to cut it out. So thank you for joining me today. Happy Thursday. Let's hope for better days and peace in the kingdom, if you will. And I really hope you have a great Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow morning for Wake and Bake. And also, we will be having trivia tomorrow night. I'm sorry, we had to take a break last week. It was too goddamn hot. Oh my God, I was dying. I couldn't even function. But we will be back. We will be back this week. Okay, because we all need a little bit of a laugh. And then I'm thinking that we might have a music show on Discord, a little bit of a Lolo Cella maybe coming up soon. So watch for that, where I play your favorites and generally make a fool of myself. Okay. All right. I'll see you later. I love you guys. Really. Have the best day. I really do. And thank you so much for spending so much time with me. I always appreciate that. That's a gift. And I know that means a lot. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much.